स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य वर्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम कथा महामहोत्सव की जय। युग धर्म श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवत्युत्तम श्लोके
भगवत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य
ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले सर्वरूपकदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलम् श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागररघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. At the very beginning of present day's discourse, I would like to offer my most respectfully prostrated obeisances unto the lotus feet of their divine lordships Shri Shri Radha, Shyama Sundara Dev, along with their eternal associates like Shri Lalita Devi, Shri Vishakha Devi, Shri Ruparati Manjari, etc. And along with that, I would also like to submit my most respectfully prostrated homages unto the lotus feet of their divine lordships Shri Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Shri Shri Nityananda Prabhu, along with their perpetual entourage such as Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatana Goswami, and all the other 6 Goswamis of Shri Dhama Vrindavan. Finally, I would also like to pay my obeisances unto the lotus feet of His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanara Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who has very nicely and artistically propagated the doctrine of Krishna consciousness imbued with pure transcendental devotional mellows throughout this world in this present modern era in a most unique and fantastic way. Conclusively, I would like to commence the context of our discussion by initially paying my obeisances unto the lotus feet of all the senior Vaishnavas and devotees present. And so now I would like to start the topic of our discussion, the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, and especially the topic pertaining to the advent of Lord Krishna. As we were discussing since past 3 days, as we have been discussing since past 3 days, And as we especially discussed yesterday, in yesterday's session, Srimad Bhagavatam has manifold meanings, and we also discussed the authorized way of interpreting Srimad Bhagavatam that rather involves a very systematic and organized process. So, we discussed that Granthartha, or the meaning of the aggregate Srimad Bhagavatam, total Srimad Bhagavatam, is the most important kind of meaning, and that meaning has to be supported by all the other meanings which are related to all the other subcategories. And we were discussing, we have now reached the Skandhartha division. After discussing what Granthartha means, we have already discussed what Granthartha means, and now we have reached the Skandhartha division. Skandhartha division means the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam's every individual canto. And we knew how Srila Shukadeva Goswami describes the 10 themes or 10 topics or 10 characteristics, lakshanas of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a Mahapurana. So because Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be Mahapurana, it has 10 characteristics instead of normal 5 characteristics. In any normal Purana, Samanya Purana, only 5 characteristics are present. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 characteristics are present because it is Mahapurana and it is Purananam Samarupaha, Sakshat Bhagavato Uditaha. Because as it has been described in Garud Purana by Vyasadeva, just like Samaved is considered to be the representative of Shri Krishna among all the 4 Vedas, Shri Krishna is being represented by Samaveda among all the 4 Vedas because Samaveda contains Brihat Samam Tatha Samam Gayatri Chanda Samaham. In the 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord mentions, he says that among the Vedas I am Samaveda. Why? Because Samaveda contains Brihat Sama prayers. And Brihat Sama prayers very elaborately describe the glories of Lord Narayana. And that is why Samaveda has been considered, because it includes Brihat Sama Stotra, it has been considered to be the representative of Shri Krishna. So just as the Samaveda is representing Shri Krishna among all the 4 Vedas, in the same way, among all the 18 Puranas, Shri Krishna is being represented, or rather is personified by Srimad Bhagavatam, Purananam Samarupaha Sakshat Bhagavato Uditaha. And that is why this Srimad Bhagavatam has attained a special status of being Mahapurana, and for that reason it has 10 characteristics, beginning with Sargas, Visarga, etc. So, this Srimad Bhagavatam, we knew how there are 10 characteristics and what is the ultimate objective. Among the 10 characteristics defined, which characteristic is the most important characteristic is to be explained by the other 9 characteristics, by the other 9 themes. So, in the language of Shukadeva Goswami himself, Shukadeva Goswami has illustrated that Atra sargo visargascha sthanam poshanam utayah manavantareshanu katha nirodho muktirashrayah. And then he says in the very second verse following that, Dashamasya vishuddhyartham namanamiha lakshanam varnayanti mahatmanah shrutenarthena chanjasa. That these are the 10 characteristics, but all the other preceding 9 characteristics or themes are existing at all. What is the sole purpose for the existence of these preceding 9 qualities of Srimad Bhagavatam, preceding 9 themes of Srimad Bhagavatam? The ultimate sole purpose for the existence of all these preceding 9 themes is to explain the 10th theme, which is Ashraya Tattva, or the Samambanam, or the fountainhead, or the original shelter, on which all the other 9 categories are dependent. Ashraya means the shelter, and the other 9 categories are Ashrita. They are dependent on this Ashraya, the 10th, Samambanam. But even though they are dependent on the Samambanam, still Samambanam cannot be understood without first understanding them. You see this? even though the other 9 preceding characteristics or themes are dependent on the Samam. Without Ashraya Tattva, Sarga, Visarga, etc. cannot exist. Why? Because the direct performer of Sarga is Karanavakshay Mahavishnu. But Karanavakshay Mahavishnu emanates ultimately from Shri Krishna of Vrindavan. So Shri Krishna of Vrindavan has been considered to be the Samam Bonam. Because Sridhara Swami, in his very beginning of his commentary on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is known as Bhavartha Deepika, Sridhara Swami's commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam is known as Bhavartha Deepika. Bhavartha Deepika means that commentary which illuminates, just like lamplight or torchlight illuminates all the objects of vision. In the same way, this Bhavartha Deepika commentary also illuminates all the inner moods, bhavas and meanings of every shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this Bhavartha Deepika commentary, which is actually the first Sanskrit commentary written on Srimad Bhagavatam, because Sridhar Swami Pad has been considered to be the Adi Bhashyakar. Just like Adi Shankaracharya is the Adi Bhashyakar or the first commentator on Prasthanatrayi, Veda, Upanishad, Brahma Sutra and Gita. In the same way, the Adi Bhashyakar, the first commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam, is Sri Sridhar Swami. So in his Bhavartha Deepika, Sri Sridhar Swami, in the very beginning of the 10th canto, first chapter, he mentions that Dashame Dashamam Lakshyam Ashritashraya Vikraham Shri Krishnakhyam Param Dhama Jagadhama Namami Tat. Dashame Dashamam Lakshyam. Dashame means, now the word Dashama here is used in a locative case. There are 7 cases in Sanskrit grammar known as Sapta Vibhakti or Sapta Vibhaktayaha. There are 7 cases. So the last or the 7th case, Saptami Vibhakti, which is known rather in Sanskrit as Adhikarana Vibhakti. Adhikarana Vibhakti, also known in English as the locative case. The locative case. So in this word Dashama has been used here in the locative case, singular locative case. Because we are talking about only one 10th canto, not 2 or 3 or many 10 cantos. So we are talking about one 10th canto. So Sridhar Swami is saying Dashame Dashamam Lakshyam. In this 10th canto, in this Dashama Skandha, Dashame, Dashamam Lakshyam, the 10th, in this 10th canto, the 10th theme is being described. And what is the 10th theme? The Ashraya Tattva, the principle of Samam Bonam. Dashame Dashamam Lakshyam Ashritashraya Vikraham. And actually this 10th theme is the Lakshya of Srimad Bhagavatam. 10th theme or Ashraya Tattva, although it has been considered to be within the 10 Lakshanas of Srimad Bhagavatam, but it is actually Lakshya, not Lakshana. This is what Sridhara Swami clarifies here. Dashame Dashamam Lakshyam Ashritashraya Vikraham. In the 10th canto, the 10th theme has been described, and Shukdev Goswami, when he is describing these 10 themes in the 9th chapter or in the 10th chapter of the 2nd canto, there he is saying that all these 10 themes are Lakshanas or characteristics of Srimad Bhagavatam. He does not specify which one is Lakshana and which one is Lakshya. But Sridhar Swami Pad makes it very specified that all the other categories, they are to be considered Lakshana. The 10th theme, Ashraya Tattva Samam Bonam, is not to be considered Lakshana, is not to be considered characteristic, rather it is to be considered characterized, Lakshya. Because the other 9 characteristics, they characterize, they explain this 10th. So it is to be considered characterized and not a characteristic of Bhagavatam. This is what Sridhar Swami makes clarified. It is not Lakshana, it is Lakshya. Dashame Dashamam Lakshyam. In the 10th canto, the 10th theme, which is actually the characterized theme, not the characteristic type of. This theme, Ashraya Tattva Samam Bonam, is described Ashritashraya Vikraham. And what is the Mahima? What do we mean by Ashraya Vigraha? Ashraya Vigraha means that embodiment, that personification or that embodiment which on which all the other 9 categories are dependent. आश्रित आश्रय विग्रह, जो आश्रितों का आश्रय स्वरूप है, जो आश्रितों का आश्रय स्वरूप है. That means that which is the shelter, that which is the summum bonum of all the other dependent categories. Dependent means ashrita and shelter means ashraya. Ashritashraya vigraham Shri Krishnakhyam Paramdham. And who is this summum bonum? Who is this Ashraya Vigraha? Who is this 10th theme? Who is the one who is to be characterized by these 9 characteristics? He makes it very clear. Shri Krishnakhyam Paramdham. It is this 10th summum bonum is to be known as Shri Krishna. Shri Krishnakhyam Paramdham. And this Shri Krishna is Paramdham. He is the supreme shelter. Here the word Dham has been used in the sense of meaning shelter. Paramdham, Shri Krishna, who is the supreme shelter. Jagat Dham, he is the shelter of all the 3 worlds, 3 types of worlds. What 3 types of worlds? Material worlds, marginal world, and spiritual world. All the 3 types of worlds comprising the Chatushpada Vibhuti. Chatushpada Vibhuti, in total, the creation has 4 parts. So 1/4 of the creation means the material world, and the 3/4 of the creation mean marginal and spiritual world. So the whole Chatushpada Vibhuti, that includes material, marginal and spiritual world. The whole Chatushpada Vibhuti, Shri Krishna is the ultimate shelter of the whole Chatushpada Vibhuti. Karanadakshay Vishnu is only the shelter of Ekpad Vibhuti. Yes. That is why he cannot be considered to be Ashraya Tattva. Ashraya means who is the shelter of all 3 worlds. Jagat Dhama. Jagat means not only Bhautik Jagat. Jagat means not only Tatastha Jagat. Jagat means not only Adhyatmik Jagat. Jagat means all the 3 types of Jagat. Marginal, spiritual and material. So Karanadakshay Mahavishnu is the shelter of only the material world, which is 1/4 of the total creation. Ekpad Vibhuti. And marginal world and spiritual world comprise the other 3/4 of the creation, Tripad Vibhuti. And when Tripad Vibhuti and Ekpad Vibhuti they are combined, they come out to be Chatushpad Vibhuti, or the whole creation. And Shri Krishna is the original shelter, is the summum bonum of the whole creation. Karanadakshay Vishnu, from him spiritual world does not emanate. From him spiritual world does not emanate, does not become manifest. From him only universes, only innumerable material universes, Bhautika Brahmanda, only they become manifest. That is why Karanadakshay Mahavishnu is only considered to be the summum bonum or relative summum bonum, not the ultimate summum bonum. He is considered to be only shelter of the material world, not of the marginal, not of the spiritual. The marginal world, who is the cause for the marginal world? The cause for the marginal world, on whom the marginal world rests, not on Karanadakshay. Karanadakshay rests on Karan Samudra, but from whom Karan Samudra comes out. So the Mahasankarshana, who is in the 2nd quadruple expansion of Vaikuntha, Dvitiya Chaturvyuh of Vaikuntha, 2nd quadruple expansion, that Mahasankarshana, from him both Karanadakshay and the Karan Samudra, they become manifest. And that is why Karan Samudra has been considered to be marginal world, and the ultimate shelter for the marginal world is not Karanadakshay, rather it is the Sankarshana of the 2nd quadruple. But even the Sankarshana of the 2nd quadruple expansion is not the shelter for the spiritual world. He might be considered shelter for the marginal world, but he is not the shelter for the spiritual world. Spiritual world means Vaikuntha, Goloka, Vrindavana, Shweta Dvipa and all the other different transcendental abodes, realms and planets belonging to different Vishnu Tattvas and different expansions of Narayana, like Varahaloka, Matsyaloka, Kurmaloka, Ramaloka, etc. So there are innumerable Vaikunthas because there are innumerable expansions. Avatara Yasankhyeya Harir Sattvanidhir Dvijaha Yatha Vinasinah Kulyaha Sarasahasyihu Sahasrashaha. That shloka comes in the 3rd chapter, 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Suta Goswami is making very clear that although I am describing only 22 incarnations here, in factuality, in reality, there are innumerable incarnations, but only 22 are the main ones. So, since Lord Hari has innumerable incarnations, so that is why he has innumerable planets within Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is the main denomination. Inside this main denomination, Vaikuntha, there are many different types of Vaikuntha planets, where all the different expansions of Vishnu, they reside along with their associates and along with their internal potencies. So this whole spiritual world, including the Brahman effulgence, Siddhaloka, including the impersonal Brahman effulgence which surrounds the Vaikuntha planet. This spiritual world, who is the original cause? Narayan? No. Mahasankarshan of the second quadruple? No. Karanadakshay? Certainly not. The ultimate cause for the spiritual world is Shri Krishna of Vrindavan. And this has been described very elaborately both in the beginning of Garga Samhita. Gargacharya is the disciple of Vyasadeva. In his book Garga Samhita, in the very first canto, Goloka Khanda, in the very first 3 chapters, Gargacharya is explaining in quite a great detail how this has the whole spiritual world has become manifest from Shri Krishna, and it also becomes merged into Shri Krishna when Shri Krishna desires. So, and in Brahma Vaivarta Purana, in the very beginning, the first division, the first canto known as Brahma Khanda of the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, it has been described in the first 10 chapters how even Narayana of Vaikuntha and all the different Vaikuntha planets, they emanate from Shri Krishna of Vrindavan, who is always resting and residing in Shri Goloka Vrindavan, which is the highest part of the spiritual world. Goloka Namni Nijadhamni Tale Chatasya Devi Mahesha Haridham Suteshu Teshu. So this verse of Brahma Samhita describes that there are many different dhamas, there are many different parts of this creation. So the material world is known as Devi Dhama because the material world is considered to be the prison house for those living entities who are averse to Krishna. So the goddess Durga, Bhagavati Durga, she is the superintendent of this prison house, and that is why this material world is known as Devi Dhama, because goddess Durga she is the mistress, she is the superintendent of this material world, which is compared to a prison house. Then higher than Devi Dhama is actually between Devi Dhama and Mahesh Dhama falls the marginal world. Devi Dhama is the material world. Devi Dhama is the material world. And Mahesh Dhama, starting from Mahesh Dhama, spiritual world begins. But between Mahesh Dhama and Devi Dhama, there is marginal world. And this marginal world is known as Karana Samudra, causal ocean, where Karanadakshay Mahavishnu resides. In marginal world, Maya or the external potency of Krishna cannot enter, but it is still not considered fully spiritual. So, after crossing Virja or the marginal world, one comes the halo, the divine effulgence surrounding the spiritual world. And that effulgence is known as Brahma Jyoti or the impersonal effulgence. And this Brahma Jyoti or impersonal effulgence is actually emanating from the transcendental body of Shri Krishna. Yasya prabha prabhavatu jagadanda koti kotishvashesha vasudhati vibhuti bhinnam tad brahmanishkala manantam ashesha bhutam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami, as it has been corroborated in Brahma Samhita. So this Brahma Jyoti, and after this Brahma Jyoti, starting from Brahma Jyoti, spiritual world begins. Brahma Jyoti is the first phase of spiritual world. Spiritual world begins from Brahma Jyoti. It does not begin from causal ocean, Karana Samudra. Causal ocean is marginal. Brahma Jyoti falls within the jurisdiction of spiritual world. So from Brahma Jyoti the spiritual world starts. So Brahma Jyoti, after crossing Brahma Jyoti comes Mahesh Dham. And this Mahesh Dham is the abode of Lord Sadashiva. This Mahesh Dham is the abode of Lord Sadashiva, who is one of the 24 types of Vishnus. If you will read Hayashirsha Pancharatra and if you will read the quotations from Hayashirsha Pancharatra, which have been cited in the Madhya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains Krishna Bhakti Siddhanta to Sanatan Goswami, devotional truths to Sanatan Goswami, At that time, Mahaprabhu has quoted from Harshirsha Pancharatra stating that there are 24 types of Vishnus. And one of those 24 types of four-handed forms of Vishnu, Chaturbhuj Vishnu Rupa, is Sadashiva. Sadashiva is one name of Vishnu. And this Vishnu has four hands and he holds conch, mace, disc and lotus flower in these four hands. So this Vishnu, this particular Vishnu form, this peculiar Vishnu form is known as Sadashiva. And this Sadashiva, he resides in a special chamber known as Maheshdham. And after this Maheshdhama, on top of this Maheshdhama, as you go more higher, as you go deep and deep, then comes the different Vaikuntha planets. And in these different Vaikuntha planets, different expansions of Narayana, like Rama, Varaha, Matsya, Kurma, etc., they reside. But the most important part of Vaikuntha is known as Paravyoma, Mahanarayanapur. That is the name given. Mahanarayanapur Paravyoma. That is the place where Narayana resides. And circulating in the four corners, in the four different corners, Ishan, Vayavya, Nairit and Agneya. In the four corners, the second quadruple expansion, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha, they reside. Narayan is in center and the Narayan, the Mahavaikuntha, of Narayan, Paravyomnath Narayan is in the center, and in the four different corners or sub-directions are located these different deities of second quadruple expansion, Dvitiya Chaturvih, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So, it is said, and on top of this Mahavaikuntha is located Krishna Loka. Krishna Loka has two parts, Shweta Dvipa and Krishna Loka. So Shweta Dvipa is the transcendental form, or Shweta Dvipa is Navadvipa Dham. This Navadvipa that we are perceiving on this mundane realm, on this earth planet known as Bhauma Navadvipa also, this Navadvipa is a replica of that Navadvipa. So that Navadvipa is considered to be Shweta Dvipa. It changes its name. When the Navadvipa is in the spiritual world, it changes its name and becomes known as Shweta Dvipa. So in this Shweta Dvipa, the Nitya Navadvipa Leela, the eternal pastimes of Lord Gaurachandra that he performs in Navadvipa in an unmanifest way are always existing there in that Nitya Shweta Dvipa, in that eternal Shweta Dvipa Dham. And then there is another part of Krishna Loka known, and that part of Krishna Loka is divided again into three parts, sub-parts: Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwarka. So Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwarka. So Dwarka is the lowermost region of Krishna Loka. Mathura is higher than than Dwarka, and Vrindavan is the highest region of Krishna Loka. And Shweta Dvipa exactly is parallel. The location of Shweta Dvipa, the Shweta Dvipa is exactly parallel to the Golok Vrindavan. It is not where Dwarka is, it is not where Mathura is. It is exactly parallel to Golok Vrindavan, Shweta Dvipa and Golok Vrindavan, because Mahaprabhu is not an incarnation or he is not an expansion of Krishna, but rather he is himself the Swayam Rupa Swayam Bhagwan Krishna. And that is why Shweta Dvipa and Golok Vrindavan, they are both located side by side. This is the geography of the spiritual world. So, from Shri Krishna, the whole spiritual world becomes manifest. Although the spiritual world is always manifest, it always exists, but sometimes, due to the special desire of Shri Krishna, the other parts of the spiritual world, like Ayodhya, Vaikuntha, Sadashiva Lok, Brahmajyoti, etc., they become unmanifest and enter into his body. And then again, he makes them manifest. So, this is all described in Brahma Vaivarta Purana and Garg Samhita in quite a bit of detail. So, it is to be inferred from that description that Shri Krishna, who is in his most original form as Vrindavan Bihari Shama Sundara, From him manifests the whole spiritual world. From Shri Krishna's expansion, Balram of Vrindavan, who is Tadekatma, and from Balrama expands the first quadruple expansion, Pratham Chaturvyuh of Dwarka. And from the Pratham Chaturvyuh of Dwarka expands the second quadruple, Dvitiya Chaturvyuh of Vaikuntha. And from this Dvitiya Chaturvyuh of Vaikuntha and the Mahasankarshan of that Vaikuntha manifests the marginal world. And also manifests Karana Dakshay Mahavishnu from this Mahasankarshan of the second quadruple expansion. And from this Mahavishnu, also known as Karana Dakshay Vishnu, who resides in the marginal world, manifests the material world. So the direct shelter for the material world, the immediate direct shelter for the material world is Karana Dakshay Mahavishnu. The immediate direct shelter for the marginal world is Mahasankarshan of the second quadruple. And the ultimate shelter, the ultimate resting place of both the marginal and material worlds is Shri Krishna of Vrindavan, because from him the Sankarshan of the second quadruple and the Karana Dakshay Mahavishnu, ultimately they all manifest from him. But Shri Krishna, apart from being the ultimate cause for the marginal and material worlds, he is also the ultimate cause for the spiritual worlds becoming manifest. Spiritual worlds manifestation, the ultimate cause for spiritual worlds becoming manifest is also Shri Krishna. So Shri Krishna is the cause, the ultimate cause for all the three worlds, spiritual, marginal and material. And that is why Jagat Dhama here means Jagat Dhama Namamita. Jagat Dhama, because Jagat is of three types: Bhautik Jagat, Adhyatmik Jagat and Tatastha Jagat, marginal, spiritual and material. And that is why, who is the ultimate resting place, the ultimate shelter, and the ultimate fountain, source, reservoir and samam bonam, all the three types of worlds. Jagat Dhama Namami Tat, and that Shri Krishna of Vrindavan has been considered to be the Ashraya Tattva by Srila Sridhara Swami. So, now since it has been described that the other 9 categories, although they are dependent on the 10th, the 10th cannot be understood without the other previous 9 categories. So an idea is inferred, an idea is implied by this statement of Shukdev Goswami, Dashamasya Vishuddhyartham Navanamiha Lakshanam Varanayanti Mahatmanah Shrutenarthena Chanjasa. An idea is implied that without first knowing the 9 categories, the 10th cannot be known. That means that Srimad Bhagavatam has to first describe the 9 categories, and only then it can describe the 10th, known as Ashraya Tattva. Isn't this implied by the very statement? Without knowing the first 9, you cannot know the 10th. That means Srimad Bhagavatam, when it is mentioning all these different Sarga, Visarga, etc., it first has to mention the 9, and then only it can mention the 10th Ashraya Tattva. Because if Srimad Bhagavatam mentions the Ashraya Tattva first or in between, and the other categories either before Ashraya Tattva or after Ashraya Tattva, then this statement of Shukdev Goswami will have no meaning. Then this statement of Shukdev Goswami will have no meaning. When Shukdev Goswami says that the 10th has to be understood at last, the other 9 have to be understood first. Dashamasya Vishuddhyartham Navanamiha Lakshanam. The 10th has to be understood at last. You cannot understand the 10th before knowing the 9 previous categories. Does it not mean that first Srimad Bhagavatam has to describe the 9 categories and only then it can describe 10th? If Srimad Bhagavatam, suppose for the sake of argument, if Srimad Bhagavatam describes Ashraya in between, some categories before Ashraya, some categories after Ashraya, then the meaning, what Shukdev Goswami is trying to propound here, that Ashraya cannot be understood without knowing the first 9, this statement possesses no value. Because then it would mean that Ashraya can be understood in the very beginning before knowing the previous 9 categories, because the other 9 categories are explained after the Ashraya is explained in Bhagavatam. And if suppose we say that Ashraya is explained in between, you say 4 categories are explained before, 5 categories are explained after, and in between Ashraya Tattva. then also it would mean that only the 4 categories are needed to know the Ashraya Tattva. And those 5 categories which are falling after Ashraya Tattva is described, that means those 5 categories are not needed to know the Ashraya Tattva. And that is the reason why Shukdev Goswami is making these 10 characteristics chronologically appear in his statement. Why he does not name because Ashraya is the ultimate shelter. All the 9 categories are dependent on Ashraya. So why is Shukdev Goswami not stating Ashraya Tattva first? Why he is stating the Ashraya Tattva last? Why he says Sarga, then Visarga, etc. He's trying to propound here, although he is not stating very clearly. When he is using chronological sequence, that means that he wants that Srimad Bhagavatam, in Srimad Bhagavatam, these 10 attributes or qualities, they appear in a chronological sequence. And that is why Srila Prabhupada, he has mentioned these 10 categories in a sequential order. But that is not what Vishwanath Chakravarti and Jiva Goswami and other acharyas have done. They have mentioned these 10 categories not following the chronology. So, Srila Prabhupada, as we discussed yesterday, starts from the first canto. First canto is Sarga, second canto is Visarga, third canto is Thanam, fourth canto is Poshanam, fifth canto is Utayaha, sixth canto is Manvantara, seventh canto is Ishanugatha, eighth canto is Nirod, ninth canto is Mukti, and 10th canto is Ashraya. This is how Srila Prabhupada is explained. Now, even Srila Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Baladeva Vidyabhushan, and Srinath Chakravarti, these are the commentators of Gaudiya Sampradaya, coming before Srila Prabhupada. They have not followed this sequence of mentioning the Ashraya Tattva very last. Rather, they have mentioned Ashraya Tattva in between. So, 10th canto, everyone considers to be Ashraya Tattva. Sridhar Swami considers 10th canto to be describing Ashraya Tattva. Sridhar Swami does not belong to Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Remember this. Although he is accepted as an authority, he does not belong to Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Because he has no direct relation with Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. He is in the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya. And the Shankaracharya people consider Sridhar Swami to be belonging to their Sampradaya. Anyways, he is a very controversial figure. But it seems that Sridhar Swami has, in his commentaries, he has talked about Mayavad. And it seems that in many places Sridhar Swami supports Mayavad. And that is the reason why Srila Jiva Goswami Pad makes it very clear in the very first Sandarbha, known as Tattva Sandarbha, that Sridhar Swami, he makes it very clear, Jiva Goswami, that Sridhar Swami was actually first initiated within the Shankar Math, within the Mayavad line of Shankaracharya. Sridhar Swami was first initiated within the Mayavad line of Shankaracharya. And later on he became a Vaishnava. But even though he became a Vaishnava, he did not formally change his previous sampradaya. He became changed, his heart became changed informally. From internally his heart became changed. But formally he did not forsake or renounce the sannyasa that he was given by the Shankaracharya order. And that is and why he did this is because if he would formally renounce his connection he would formally renounce or denounce his former connection with the Shankaracharya line, then he could not use one very nice opportunity that was at his hand, available, ready to serve him. That opportunity was at his hand, ready to serve him. And what was that opportunity? Sridhar Swami had become changed internally by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, and he realized the different types of faults and mistakes, the falsities of the philosophy of Shankaracharya. But Sridhar Swami thought that if I will renounce my dress and my all the signs that indicate that I am belonging to Shankaracharya line, then I will lose very nice opportunity of convincing my fellow peers who are also following Shankaracharya. I will fail to convince them and bring them to Vaishnavism. Because they will think, oh, he has rejected the Sampradaya. We don't want to hear from such a person. We don't want to associate with such a person who has rejected the Sampradaya. Now, this is a natural propensity within all Sampradayas. That once you reject that Sampradaya, they will consider that, oh, now there is need of associating with this person. So Sridhar Swami did not want to make his reputation go bad. And that is why he did not formally change his Sampradaya. Now what happens? Sridhar Swami, if he would write the Vishuddha Bhakti Siddhanta, the pure devotional truths of Vaishnavism, very clearly, very openly, then also his fellow peers will not trust him. They will consider that, oh, Sridhar Swami has become a Vaishnava. He is an impostor. He is a duplicitous person. Externally, he belongs to Shankar line, but internally he has become a Vaishnava. We don't want to associate with this type of person who is duplicitous. He has no nishtha, he has no loyalty to Shankaracharya. That is why Sridhar Swami, in his commentary, he has mixed lot of Mayavad Siddhanta. But again, from time to time, he has also not failed to illustrate the pure devotional truths, the principles regarding the pure devotional service, the principles regarding personalism, and the principles regarding Vaishnavism, the Vishuddha Bhakti Siddhanta, he has not failed to illustrate. And that is why Sridhar Swami's commentary, sometimes if you will read some portions, you will see he is supporting what Shankaracharya says and his Mayavad philosophy. But at some times, he will totally contradict Shankaracharya, as in the case of the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Dharmaha projyata kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam sadam. Sridhar Swami completely rejects the idea that liberation or mukti is the goal of Srimad Bhagavatam. There he says, prashabdena tu mokshabhi sandhirapi nirastaha. Prashabdena tu mokshabhi sandhirapi nirastaha. Pra-ujjita. Ujjita means rejecting. And pra means completely rejecting. So what does pra mean here? Ujjita means rejecting. But pra means completely rejecting. So pra means complete, in totality. So what does the upsarga, what does the prefix pra mean here? Sridhar Swami explains, the prefix pra means not only rejecting dharma, artha and kam, but also rejecting moksha and moksha vancha. Liberation itself and the desire for attaining liberation, rejecting both. Rejecting liberation itself and rejecting also the desire for attaining liberation. Both. Mokshavi sandhirapi nirastha. And you will see that this is not the philosophy of Shankaracharya, as we discussed on the very first day of our session. Shankaracharya philosophy means liberation or moksha is the ultimate goal, and that moksha is also Brahma Sayujya Mukti, impersonal liberation. Sridhar Swami makes very clear that Prema Bhakti is the ultimate goal of Srimad Bhagavatam. But if you will read the commentary on the very first shloka, Janmadhyasya, especially when he explains Yatra Trisargo Amrisha, then he again goes back to Mayavad. So, Jiva Goswami has warned in his Tattva Sandarbha that although Sridhar Swami had internally become Vaishnava, the only reason why he has propounded Mayavada philosophy time to time in his commentary is to attract his fellow Mayavadi friends, so that they will start reading Srimad Bhagavatam under his guidance. Or maybe he has written his Bhavartha Deepika in such a way that although he has also supported Mayavada in many instances, in many places, and he has also described Vishuddha Bhakti Siddhanta in many places, but even though he has supported Mayavada in many places, by reading the whole book, ultimately Mayavadi will become changed. That is how he has written his Bhavartha Deepika, very artistically. So Jiva Goswami says that although his purpose of supporting Mayavad within his Bhavartha Deepika commentary was to change the other Mayavadins or the followers of Shankaracharya, who were his contemporaries, but that does not mean that we have to accept every explanation of Sridhar Swami given on every shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, because on some shlokas he has supported Mayavad philosophy. That is why he makes it very clear, Jiva Goswami. That is why in some places I will follow Sridhar Swami. This is what Jiva Goswami says. In some places I will follow Sridhar Swami. In some places I will not follow Sridhar Swami. In some places I will follow Madhva and Ramanuj. But in some places I will not follow anyone. I will propound the Siddhanta that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has inspired in my heart. That is why you can know that even though Sridhar Swami has been respected within this sampradaya, but still he is not actually belonging to Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Only the acharyas starting from Jiva Goswami, because Jiva Goswami has written actually the first commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam within our line of Mahaprabhu is Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami is the first commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam. He has written Brihad Vaishnava Toshni Tika. And then Jiva Goswami is the second commentator, historically speaking. Jiva Goswami is the second commentator. Jiva Goswami has written Laghu Vaishnava Toshni. Or no, actually Sanatan has written Laghu Vaishnava Toshni. Jiva Goswami has written Brihad Vaishnava Toshni. Expanding on the Laghu Vaishnava Toshni of Sanatan, he has written Brihad Vaishnava Toshni Tika. Then Jiva Goswami has written one another commentary known as Krama Sandarbha. Then he did not become satisfied with the Krama Sandarbha commentary and the already existing Brihad Vaishnava Toshni. So he wrote another third commentary, Jiva Goswami. And that is Brihad Krama Sandarbha. So by now we have already 4 commentaries by Jiva Goswami and by Sanatan Goswami. In total we have 4 commentaries. Now what happens? Comes Srinath Chakravarti. After Jiva Goswami comes Srinath Chakravarti, historically speaking. Srinath Chakravarti Pad has composed commentary known as Sri Chaitanya Mat Manjusha. And this verse Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesh Tanaya actually comes within that Chaitanya Mat Manjusha commentary. So Srinath Chakravarti wrote Chaitanya Mat Manjusha, commentary which propounds the opinion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is why he says in the very first verse of his commentary, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ravagadam Tatra Darona Paraha. We do not care for, we do not give any consideration, or we do not pay any attention to any other opinion except for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. That is Chaitanya Mat Manjusha commentary. After him comes Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad. So now we have 5 commentaries. Now comes Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad. He has written Sarartha Darshini, or that commentary which shows the essence of all the meanings of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam has many meanings, because as we described yesterday, Krishna Tulya Bhagavat Vibhu Sarvashraya Prati Shloki Prati Akshari Nana Arthakaya. Srimad Bhagavatam has many meanings. Unlimited. Srimad Bhagavatam, because Krishna is unlimited, Srimad Bhagavatam being Krishna is also unlimited. It has many meanings. You cannot limit Srimad Bhagavatam. That is why all these commentaries are there. Why we don't have only one commentary? Why Jiva Goswami wrote 3 commentaries? Why he could not become satisfied with one? Because Bhagavad has many meanings. That is very clear. So, because Bhagavad has many meanings, but Vishwanatha claims that his commentary shows the most important type of meaning among all the different types of meanings available. That is why he names his commentary Sarartha Darshini, or that commentary which shows, which is a pradarshika, which shows the most essential meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam among all the different types of meanings. Sarartha Darshini. Vaishnava Toshni of Sanatan. What does Vaishnava Toshni mean? Vaishnava Toshni means that which pleases the Vaishnavas. Toshni means to please. That which pleases, satisfies the Vaishnavas. And what does Krama Sandarbha of Jiva Goswami mean? Brihad means bigger, Laghu means small. Brihad Vaishnava Toshni, Laghu Vaishnava Toshni. Then comes Krama Sandarbha. What does Krama Sandarbha mean? Sandarbha means a philosophical, analytical thesis written in a sequential order. That is what Krama Sandarbha means. Krama means sequence, and Sandarbha means theoretical, philosophical analysis, thesis. So, The sixth commentary, 4 commentaries by Jiva Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, 4 commentaries. Fifth commentary by Srinath Chakravarti Chaitanya Mat Manjusha. Sixth commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that is Sararth Darshini Tika. Now comes the 7th commentary. You see, the followers of Mahaprabhu have written many commentaries. No other Sampradaya has these many commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam as the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya has 2 special unique characteristics. The first characteristic is that the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya has the last commentary on Prasthanatrayi, on the 10 Upanishads, on Brahma Sutra and on Bhagavad Gita. This is Prasthanatrayi. On Prasthanatrayi, the last commentary is by Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Even Vallabhacharya, you see, the first commentary on Prasthanatrayi by Adi Shankaracharya, the second commentary by Bhaskaracharya, who is the contemporary of Shankara, the third commentary by Ramanujacharya. Bhaskaracharya is not Vaishnava, he belongs to the Shaivite line. You see, there are 3 types of commentators on Srimad Bhagavatam, on the Brahma Sutra. On the Vedanta, there are 3 types of commentators: Shaivite, Impersonalist, and Vaishnava. So Bhaskaracharya is Shaivite commentator. And Acharyas like Shrikant, Nilkant, etc., following Bhaskaracharya, they are also Shaivite commentators. They consider Shiva to be the supreme. They have also written commentaries on Brahma Sutra. Then comes Shankaracharya. He does not consider any personal form of either any demigod or of Narayana to be supreme. He says only the impersonal form is supreme. So Shankaracharya does not support the Shaivite idea. He supports rather the impersonalist idea, Nirvishesh Brahma. So all the Acharyas following Shankar in his Sampradaya, they have also written commentaries. So impersonalist conception on Vedanta, Shaivite conception on Vedanta, and third is Vaishnava conception on Vedanta. And among the Vaishnava Acharyas are Ramanuj. He is the first commentator on Vedanta Sutra in the Vaishnava line. So Shankar and Bhaskar are contemporaries. And then comes Ramanujacharya, then comes Madhvacharya, then comes the commentary of Nimbarkacharya. Nimbarkacharya, he has actually his disciple Keshav Kashmiri Bhattacharya, he has written the commentary on Prasthanatrayi. And then comes Vallabhacharya, he is the last commentator. But even after Vallabhacharya, the really last commentator is Baldev Vidyabhushan of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is unique. It has 2 unique characteristics. The first unique characteristic is that it has the privilege of having the last commentaries on the Prasthanatrayi. Historically speaking, the last commentaries on Prasthanatrayi. And it also has the most number of commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. These are the 2 unique characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sampradaya, which no one can refute throughout India. No other Sampradaya can refute this fact that we are propounding right now. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, we have approximately 9 commentaries, 9 or 10 commentaries. But in Sanskrita, we have already described 6 commentaries, 4 by Jiva and Sanatan, and 1 by Srinath, and another by Vishwanath. So 6 commentaries. 7th commentary is Baladeva Vidyabhushana's Vaishnava Nandini Tika. The 7th commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, historically speaking, is Vaishnava Nandini commentary. That commentary which not only satisfies the Vaishnavas, but which immerses or plunges all the Vaishnavas into condensed felicity, Ananda. That commentary is known as Vaishnava Nandini. That is also in Sanskrit. That is the 7th commentary, Vaishnava Nandini. And we also have 8th commentary. It is known as Deepini, and it is written by Sri Radharamana Das Goswami. He is actually the son of the direct disciple of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Gopal Bhatta Goswami had one direct disciple, a North Indian Brahmin, and he was known as Gopinath Pujari, and the son of this Gopinath Pujari is this Radharamana Das Goswami, who was actually one of the first Sivayatas of the Radharaman temple in Vrindavan, established by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So Radharaman Das Goswami, he has written commentary known as Deepini. That is the 8th commentary. And all these 8 commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam are in Sanskrit. They are not in Bengali or any other local language. Now, we have not only these 8 commentaries, other commentaries also. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, starting from Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, the Sanskritized era ended. Sanskritized era continued up to Baldev Vidyabhushan. If you will see the general history of India, the most prevalent use of Sanskrita was till the 17th century or the beginning of the 18th century. After the mid half of the 18th century, that means after 1750s, Sanskrit was on decline. So till Baldev Vidyabhushan, everything was written in Sanskrit. It was a custom in India that any religious or spiritual book has to be written in Sanskrit. But at the time of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, 1850s, everything have now become changed because of the British influence and because of the modern culture entering. Everything has now become changed in the early part of the 19th century. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur, keeping in mind that the people of India now are not able to, people in general are not able to understand Sanskrit, he wrote commentary in Bengali. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur has written commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam in Bengali. But that commentary is rather not a full commentary. Then comes Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary. And he has called this commentary Anubhashya commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he wrote Anubhashya commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita and Anubhashya commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. And he wrote Gaudiya Bhashya commentary on Chaitanya Bhagavat. So Anubhashya commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj has written explains the import of Srimad Bhagavatam while also showing the syntax, Anvay. Anvay means all the shlokas of Srimad Bhagavatam are in meters. So he puts all those shlokas, he rearranges, he reconstructs all the words found in those shlokas and puts them in a Gadya form, in a statement which is easily understandable. So that is known as syntax. Anvay, in Sanskrit we call it. Rearranging the shloka construction. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj has rearranged the shloka construction into statement form that everyone can understand. And then he has also shown Shabdartha, word-to-word meanings. And actually Srila Prabhupada, because his mother language was Bengali and because he was doing Bengali, so he has used the Shabdartha. Actually the first Shabdartha given is given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Nowadays I have personally seen many books in India. Many publishers have published Srimad Bhagavatam in 9 or 10 different big volumes. And in those Srimad Bhagavatam they have shown word-to-word meaning. Original word in Sanskrit and then Hindi meaning of every word. But they have copied our Bhaktivedanta Bhagavatam of our Bhaktivedanta book trust. But Srila Prabhupada, he has also used the Shabdartha given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, historically speaking, he is the first one to give Shabdartha, meaning of every word of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he has given Shabdartha, meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam's every word into Bengali. He has also given syntax, Anvaya. And he has explained the import of Srimad Bhagavatam in Bengali language, the local language. That is considered to be the 9th commentary. 9th commentary. And the 10th commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam is, of course, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's commentary, who is also the founder Acharya of our institution. And that commentary is known as Bhaktivedanta Purports on Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is in the international language of the 21st and 20th century, that is English. So we have 10 commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, 8 of these 10, 11 commentaries, yes, 11 commentaries. So 8 of these 10 are in Sanskrita and the other 3 are in English and Bengali. So we have total 11 commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, there are some commentators. Veer Raghavacharya, he is the commentator from Ramanuja Sampradaya, Shri Sampradaya. He is following Ramanujacharya line. So he will not interpret Ete chanch kalaha punsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, meaning that Shri Krishna of Vrindavan is the original supreme primeval God. No, 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 no. खेचातानी होगी फिर वहां जाके गौड़ीय संप्रदाय के व्याख्याकारों में और उनमें there will be a lot of struggle between our commentators and Veer Raghavacharya. Veer Raghavacharya will try to propound anyhow that Narayan is Swayam Bhagavan, not Shri Krishna, because the Shri Sampradaya influence. So that is there. So Veer Raghavacharya follows Ramanujacharya, Shri Sampradaya commentator. Then comes Vijayadvaj Tirth. So Veer Raghavacharya has written Bhagavat Chandra Chandrika commentary. Bhagavat Chandra Chandrika. And Veer Raghavacharya comes before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Veer Raghavacharya comes before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but after Sridhar Swami. Sridhar Swami is the first one, so to say. So Veer Raghavacharya is before other acharyas. He has written commentary. Then comes Vijayadvaj Tirth. Actually Madhvacharya is also one of the commentators, but Madhvacharya has not commented on every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Rather, he has commented only on the main principal verses of every chapter. And his commentary is known as Bhagavat Tatparya. Bhagavat Tatparya means showing the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. Tatparya means purport, showing the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavat Tatparya commentary. And that is Madhvacharya's commentary, but that is not on every verse of Bhagavatam. So Vijayadvaj Tirth, who followed Madhvacharya, who came after Madhvacharya, he wanted to write commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, establishing the philosophy of Madhvacharya's Dvaitavada, pure dualism, Dvaitavada. And he wanted to write Srimad Bhagavatam, commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam on every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, trying to establish the Dvaita of Dvaita of Madhvacharya, the Dvaita philosophy. So Vijayadvaj Tirtha has written a very systematic commentary on every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. But he is following Madhvacharya. His commentary is known as Padaratnavali Tika. Padaratnavali. He has also come before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They all existed. Veer Raghav and Vijayadvaj existed before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent. So these commentaries are before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually appeared. Vijayadvaj Tirtha's commentary. But even Vijayadvaj Tirtha, because even Madhva Sampradaya does not accept that Shri Krishna of Vrindavan is the Swayam Bhagavan. They consider Narayana to be Swayam Bhagavan, Shri Krishna to be just one expansion of Narayana. And that is why even Vijayadvaj Tirtha does not agree. Ete chanchkalaha punsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He does not agree that this means that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. He says no, here Krishna means Narayana. And they have their own arguments to support that, but ultimately their arguments are refuted, ultimately. So this is Vijayadvaj Tirtha commentary, that is Madhva Sampradaya commentary. Then comes Nimbark Sampradaya. So Nimbark Sampradaya, acharyas like Sudarshan Suri, Bhagavat Prasad Acharya, these acharyas, because Nimbark Acharya did not write any commentary on Bhagavatam. So acharyas of Nimbark Sampradaya who came later on, like Bhagavat Prasad Acharya, he wrote Bhakta Manoranjini commentary, and Sudarshana Suri has also written Shukapakshiyam commentary. Shukapakshiyam. Shukapakshiyam. So these commentaries belong to the Nimbark Sampradaya. They only have two commentaries. Madhva Sampradaya only has two commentaries, one by Madhvacharya, Bhagavat Tatparya, and that is also not full commentary, and another by Vijayadvaj. Veer Raghav, Ramanujana Sampradaya only has one commentary. Madhva Sampradaya has two commentaries. Nimbark Sampradaya has two commentaries. Sridhar Swami, who is very he might be considered to be belonging to Shankar Sampradaya, but actually he is Vaishnava. So his commentary is there. Gaudiya Sampradaya has 8 commentaries in Sanskrit on Srimad Bhagavatam. And now comes Vallabhacharya, Vishnu Swami Sampradaya. So Vallabhacharya has written Subodhini commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. He has written Subodhini commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, and following Vallabhacharya, his disciples, 3 or 4 of his disciples, they have also written commentaries, but not main commentaries, rather sub-commentaries. They have considered their commentaries to be sub-commentaries. They have not tried to explain Srimad Bhagavatam's verse under discussion. Those commentaries have tried to explain Vallabhacharya's commentary instead. Because Vallabhacharya says in a very condensed way, in a very concise way. So to understand what Vallabhacharya is actually saying, in order to just translate the one statement of Vallabhacharya, 3 commentaries have been written by his successive followers. So in total, Pushti Marg or the Vallabha Sampradaya or the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya has 4 commentaries, and there is one commentary which is only available on the 10th canto by another follower of Vallabhacharya. So it has 5 commentaries. Pushti Marga has 5 commentaries, but no one can break the record of Gaudiya Sampradaya, because Gaudiya Sampradaya has the most number of commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam here. So now we have understood how many commentaries of different Sampradayas and of different views are there on Srimad Bhagavatam by different Acharyas. So Srila Prabhupada, he has considered Sarga to be starting from the 1st canto, and Sarga, Visarga, etc. And 10th canto is mentioning the Ashraya or the 10th. So he has followed the order, he has followed the sequential order there that Shukdev Goswami is mentioning. And then 11th and 12th cantos are remaining. So he has given the name 11th canto General History, 12th canto The Age of Deterioration. Now the other Acharyas of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, before Srila Prabhupada, actually before Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did not get into this, naming the canto, and also not Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So other Acharyas, means starting from Baldev Vidyabhushan, Vishwanath, etc., they have all followed Sanatan Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami has in turn followed Sridhar Swami. So Sridhar Swami and Sanatan Goswami and all the other Acharyas of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, and even Vijaya Dhvaj and Veer Raghav Acharya of Madhva and Ramanuja Sampradaya, and also the Nimbark Sampradaya commentators, they have considered 10th canto to be Ashraya Tattva. So Srila Prabhupada also considers 10th canto to be Ashraya Tattva, and the other Vaishnava Acharyas, not only belonging to Gaudiya Sampradaya but also other Sampradayas, they also consider 10th canto to be Ashraya Tattva. But the difference is that when Srila Prabhupada, he starts with the 1st canto, naming Sarga Visarga. But these other Acharyas, they start from the 3rd canto. So, 3rd canto, all these other Acharyas, they call 3rd canto, except for Vallabhacharya now. Vallabhacharya is not accepting this definition of other Acharyas. He still has another definition. So these other Acharyas, they consider starting from 3rd canto, they consider Sarga. So 3rd canto is describing Sarga, 4th canto is Sarga, 5th canto Sthanam, 6th canto Poshanam, 7th canto Uti, 8th canto Manvantar, 9th canto to be Ishanukatha, 10th canto to be Ashraya. Yes, 10th canto to be Ashraya. 11th canto to be Mukti. 11th canto to be Nirodh, and 12th canto to be Mukti. You write this down.
This is Sanatana Goswami.
Yes, everyone, except Vallabhacharya. So on 10th canto, they all agree that 10th canto means Ashraya. But the difference between Srila Prabhupada and his other Acharyas is that Srila Prabhupada considers 10th canto to be Ashraya, so as these other Acharyas, but Srila Prabhupada considers 10th canto to be Ashraya in a sequential order. Whereas these other Acharyas, they do not consider 10th canto in a sequential order, because after 10th canto they describe Nirodh and Mukti, 11th and 12th. Because they are starting from the 3rd, that's why this happens. Srila Prabhupada starts from the 1st canto. They are starting from the 3rd canto. Sarg, Visarg, etc. This labeling, they start from the 3rd canto. Now, still different definition. Vallabhacharya thinks that he has a different idea. He says that Sarga Visarga starts from 3rd canto. He also agrees with Sridhar Swami, Sanatan Goswami, Vijay Dhvaj, Veer Raghav and all these other Acharyas. Sanatan Goswami also agrees that yes, Sarga Visarga starts from 3rd canto. But he considers 9th canto to be Nirodh. 10th canto to be Nirodh, not Ashray. He considers 10th canto to be Nirodh and not Ashray. And he considers the 12th canto, the last canto, to be Ashray. And he says, look, I have maintained the chronological sequential order. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, because actually in chronology, Nirodh comes to be the 10th canto in chronological order. If you start from 3rd canto, if you start labeling from 3rd canto, 10th canto, naturally, if you don't break the chronology, is considered to be Nirodh. And if you follow the chronology, then 12th canto is considered to be Ashray. But Srila Prabhupada has also followed the chronological order. But he has started from 1st canto. That is why he names 10th canto to be Ashray. Other acharyas have also considered 10th canto to be Ashray, but then they have broken the chronology. Vallabhacharya does not break the chronology, but he starts from 3rd canto. That is why he considers 12th canto to be Ashray and 10th canto to be Nirodh. And he has considered Nirodha to mean something different from what other acharyas have meant. He considers Nirodh to be meaning the same as Ashray actually. And he considers Ashray to be meaning something different from what other acharyas have considered. So his meaning of Nirodh is not the same as winding up of the creation. Winding up of the creation, because winding up of the creation is considered generally the meaning of Nirodha. And even Shukdev Goswami here, he says, while explaining Nirodha in Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, Nirodho asyanu shayanam atmanah sah shaktibihi muktir hitvan yatha rupam svarupena vyavasthiti. So Nirodho asyanu shayanam atmanah sah shaktibihi. It is explained by Shukdev Goswami himself in the 2nd canto that Nirodha means asya anushayanam. Atmanah. Whose anushayanam? Whose anushayanam means divine, transcendental sleep or slumber. And we discussed yesterday it means yoga nidra here. Anushayanam means sleep or slumber. Atmanah. Whose sleep? The sleep of the Atma. Which Atma? Jivatma or Paramatma? No, the sleep of the Paramatma. No Acharya has considered that Atma here means Jivatma's sleep. Everyone has, all the Acharyas, all the commentators, they have considered Atmana here to be meaning Shri Krishna or Paramatma or the Supreme Absolute Truth. So the transcendental sleep or slumber of Shri Krishna, who is the Supreme Absolute Truth, Paramatma, his sleep and all the different conditioned living entities within this material world at the time of final annihilation, when they relinquish their gross bodies, but while still maintaining their subtle bodies, they become entered into the body of Karanadakshayi Mahavishnu. And Karanadakshayi Mahavishnu also goes into his divine Yoga Nidra sleep. Then that stage or that condition is known as Nirodha. So Vallabhacharya also accepts the same definition. As we discussed the other day, Vallabhacharya, according to Kavi Karnapur Goswami, who is the staunch follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kavi Karnapur Goswami, who is the son of Shivananda Sen also. You remember that? Chaitanya Charitamrita, who is the son of Shivananda Sen, and who has been directly given potency and energy to describe Shri Krishna Leela. Actually, Mahaprabhu, Kavi Karnapur Goswami, that's a story mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela, that Kavi Karnapur Goswami, he was not feeling to speak. He was not willing to speak. He was not feeling like that he should speak. So from the very birth, he did not utter even a single consonant or a single vowel. So Shivananda Sen and all the other Bengali devotees who were coming every year to attend the Jagannath Rath Yatra festival in Puri, they were very much morose, because Shivananda Sen was the leader of the whole Bengali group. And they did not like, because this time Shivananda Sen had brought his son also. So they did not like that his son was he was dumb. He was dumb. He was mute, or he was dumb by the birth. He was dumb by birth. They thought that he is actually dumb by birth because he never spoke even a single word or a single statement. But actually he was not dumb by birth. He was a Mahapurusha. There was a reason why he was not speaking. So Kavi Karnapur Goswami, as soon as he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at that time his name was Chaitanya Das. Puri Das, first Puri Das. So when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shivananda Sen said that, oh, he is not speaking anything. So then Shivananda Sen told Kavi Karnapur to bow down to the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Kavi Karnapur Goswami, as soon as he bowed down to the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave the Dakshina Padangushta, he gave the toe of the right finger, of the right foot, yes. The toe of the right foot, Dakshina Padangushta, to Kavi Karnapur Goswami's mouth. And he started, that boy of 7 years of age, he started sucking that toe. And immediately after he had completed sucking the toe of Mahaprabhu, because Kavi Karnapur Goswami had one title, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhoho Dakshina Padangushta Prasut Labdha Kavitva Shakti Yukta. Yes, that is the title given. That is the Virudavali, that is the title given to Kavi Karnapur Goswami. That title comes before his name in any of his books, Anand, Vrindavan, Champu, etc. So he was the contemporary of 6 Goswamis also. So Kavi Karnapur Goswami, as soon as he sucked the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu, or the toe of his lotus feet, he got, by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, this unparalleled Kavitva Shakti. He got this unparalleled power of writing different types of poetic stanzas. And using that special skill that he received by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he immediately made up one shloka in Sanskrit, in a very difficult meter actually, that only a Vidwan or a scholar could make, who has studied Alankar Shastra. Without studying Alankar Shastra, Vyakaran and Chanda Shastra, Kavi Karnapur Goswami immediately made up one shloka in a very difficult meter in the praise of Mahaprabhu. And everyone who were standing there, present there, they become struck by wonder. They were amazed, astonished completely. So this is Kavi Karnapur Goswami, is actually also one of the Manjaris of Krishna Leela. So Kavi Karnapur Goswami, who is an eternal associate of Mahaprabhu, he has mentioned in his Gaur Ganodesha Deepika commentary that Vallabhacharya is actually Shukdev Goswami's incarnation. So now the question arises that it has been said that Vallabhacharya was rejected by Mahaprabhu, and then later on he became accepted by Mahaprabhu again, and then Mahaprabhu also made him initiated by Gadadhar Pandita Goswami. Gadadhar Pandit Goswami was the spiritual master of Vallabhacharya. So then later on Mahaprabhu again accepted him. But now the question arises that this commentary which he had been writing at that time on Bhagavatam, and which he went to Jagannath Puri to make Mahaprabhu listen to that commentary. So Mahaprabhu rejected him because Vallabhacharya was, and this whole incident you know. So Mahaprabhu rejected his commentary, and he did not want to even speak with him. But once he took initiation from Gadadhar Pandit Goswami, Mahaprabhu again started reciprocating with Vallabhacharya. This is all mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela. So now the question arises, is Vallabhacharya's commentary considered bona fide by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas? And if it is considered bona fide, will that not contradict what Mahaprabhu said in Chaitanya Charitamrita? Actually, the commentary that Vallabhacharya had written on Srimad Bhagavatam, that commentary, he was just starting his commentary at that time. It is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Vallabhacharya was just starting his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. So that commentary that he had written on Srimad Bhagavatam as a beginning, and he wanted to show it to Mahaprabhu for recognition. So that commentary that he had written in the beginning, in the very beginning stage of that commentary, he had actually went to Mahaprabhu in order to show that commentary to him. And Mahaprabhu rejected, just because, in order to set the example that one has to follow the previous Acharya. But following previous Acharya, and also to set example that arrogance is not a nice thing. Even though you might be more intelligent than the previous Acharya, still you have to respect the previous Acharya. Vallabhacharya did not actually know why Sridhar Swami. He was considering that Sridhar Swami has written Mayavad conception in his commentary. And Vallabhacharya was a staunch he was staunch enemy of Mayavad. So he thought, oh, Sridhar Swami is Mayavadi. And that is why he did not have any respect for Sridhar Swami. But Mahaprabhu knew why Sridhar Swami has written Mayavad. in his commentary. He knew that, and Jiva Goswami also knew the ultimate purpose of that. So just in order to make Vallabhacharya that you should not disrespect Sridhar Swami and offend him, that is why he performed that pastime. But if we say that because Vallabhacharya did not follow Sridhar Swami in his commentary, then even Jiva Goswami has not followed. Then your own Acharya also becomes victim of the same thing, same fault. Then even Jiva Goswami has not followed Srimad Bhagavatam, every shloka, what Sridhar Swami is saying. That is not the criteria here of deciding who is authorized and who is bogus. What Mahaprabhu wanted to establish is that you have to respect your previous Acharya. No matter if you have difference of opinion from your previous Acharya. You have difference of opinions everywhere. And if you will not have difference of opinion on Srimad Bhagavatam, then how will Srimad Bhagavatam will be considered unlimited, having unlimited meanings? If all the Acharyas are showing only one meaning. So that's not the criteria. Even Jiva Goswami has not accepted Sridhar Swami in many places in Bhagavatam. He has given a completely different commentary. That is not the criteria of considering whether Vallabhacharya is authentic or not. What Mahaprabhu wanted to establish, you have to respect the previous Acharya, even though you have difference of opinion. And then Vallabhacharya got that idea that I'm mistaking. So actually, Vallabhacharya's commentary is not considered unauthentic or bogus or unauthorized. Just because he is not following Sridhar Swami. The other Acharyas have also not followed. Veer Raghav has also not followed many places Sridhar Swami. Vijay Dwaj never follows Sridhar Swami. Still, these commentaries are accepted bona fide by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Even Jiva Goswami does not accept Sridhar Swami in many of the places. So the thing is that Vallabhacharya, his commentary was not bogus. Only his internal mood was not right. And in order to correct his mood, Mahaprabhu saying, I don't want to listen to your commentary. I don't want to listen to your commentary. Otherwise, if his commentary was bogus, then how is it possible that Srila Prabhupada has given the name of Vallabhacharya in the very first purport of Srimad Bhagavatam? And Prabhupada has inspired the readers. In the same way that he inspires readers to read Sridhar Swami's commentary, he also inspires readers to read Vallabhacharya's commentary. In the very first purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, very first shloka, Janmadhyasya Yataha, very first purport of that first shloka, the last part of that purport, immediately before Dharma Projit, the second shloka starts, the very last part of the purport, the very last page of his purport, he writes that if anyone wants to seriously and sincerely probe into the depth of Srimad Bhagavatam, profound depth of Srimad Bhagavatam, then he has to study the commentaries of different acharyas given on Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he says, especially the commentaries written by first Sridhar Swami, because he is the first commentator. Then Jiva Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti, and Vallabhacharya. He mentions the name of Vallabhacharya there. Yes. And Kavi Karnapur Goswami mentions in Gaur Ganodesh Deepika that Vallabhacharya is actually the incarnation of Shukdev Goswami. So, Shukdev Goswami is the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, now the thing is, there are many, not all the commentators agree with each other. That difference will remain. Just because of that small difference, you cannot consider any commentator to be unauthentic or bogus. But yes, when Veer Raghavacharya and Vijay Dwaja Tirth, they try to make Narayana Swayam Bhagavan, that is not to be accepted. But even that, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami even solves that issue. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami even solves that issue in his Chaitanya Charitamrita. If you will read the third chapter of the Adi Leela, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that actually, if somebody says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of Kshirodakshai Vishnu, or that if Shri Krishna of Vrindavan is an expansion of Kshirodakshai Vishnu, then Ki Tara Mahima, that is Ki Tara Mahima. Then what adds to the glory, what adds to the real glory of Shri Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who are actually not the incarnations of, who are not the expansions of Kshirodakshai Vishnu, but rather Kshirodakshai Vishnu is whose expansion. But then Krishnadasa says, after a long debate with those who do not want to accept Krishna as Swayam Bhagavan, then he says at last, Krishnadas Kaviraj, that yes, Even if those Vaishnavas who are saying that Narayana is Swayam Bhagavan or Vishnu is Swayam Bhagavan and Krishna is just one expansion of that Narayana, then even what they are saying is right, in one sense. This is what Krishnadas ultimately accepts, right? Even if what they are saying is right in one sense, because Krishna has Narayana within him, he has Kshiradakshai Vishnu within him. That is why, if they say Krishna is Kshiradakshai Vishnu, in one sense what they are saying is right. So Krishnadas Kaviraj after all harmonizes the mutual difference and disagreement between the Vaishnava Sampradayas. So here, Vijayadhwaj Tirth and Veer Raghavacharya, the Madhva Sampradaya and Ramanuja Sampradaya commentators do not accept that Krishna of Vrindavan is Swayam Bhagavan. They accept Narayan to be Swayam Bhagavan. Whereas all Gaudiya Sampradaya commentators, Sridhar Swami, Nimbark Sampradaya commentators, and Vallabhacharya and commentators following Vallabhacharya, they all accept that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. So we can see that excluding these two commentaries by Vijayadhwaj and Veer Raghav, the majority of commentaries, the most number of commentaries and commentators, they accept that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. On Bhagavatam, the majority of commentators, the most number of commentators and the most number of commentaries have accepted that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. So that is the fact here. So yeah, the first and second canto. The first canto is considered to be, now you see, Vallabhacharya does not consider, he considers, like other acharyas, he considers Sarga to be beginning with the third canto. So he considers first and second cantos. What? Vallabhacharya considers first canto to be meaning Adhikara Leela. And he considers second canto to be propounding Jnana Leela. Because in second canto, Krishna has given Jnana to Brahma in the form of Chatushloki Bhagavatam. And that is why he considers second canto to be Jnana Leela and first canto to be Adhikar Leela. And what do we mean by Adhikar Leela here? Adhikar Leela means that Vallabhacharya considers that Srimad Bhagavatam, there are three types of adhikaris or eligible reciters and eligible hearers of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hearers of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he considers, he compares, because there are three different types of conversations or samvadas within Bhagavatam. You see, the first conversation is the conversation of Sut and Shaunaka. The second conversation is the conversation of Narad and Vyas. And third conversation is the conversation of Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. And all these three different conversations are mentioned in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Vallabhacharya segregates three Vaktas and three Shrotas. He says that Sut and Shaunaka are the most inferior, lowest category of Shrota and Vakta. He says that Sut Goswami is the lowest category of reciter. He is in the lowest category of reciters. And Shaunaka and all the other 88,000 munis who had assembled in Naimisharani, they are of the lowest category of hearers. But not like us. We are not even fitting one of those categories. We are even lower than that. He is just segregating. He is just segregating in order to make comparison, mutual comparison. That comparison is not made with us. No. That is mutual comparison. Only in that circle he has made comparison. So Sut Goswami and Shaunaka, they are the lowest type of hearer and reciter, Shrota and Vakta. Then comes Vyas and why? And actually even Sanatana Goswami accepts this. Even Sanatana Goswami accepts this in his commentary. Even Sanatana Goswami accepts, and he says that yes, Sut, Vallabhacharya does not give the reason why he has done this. Sanatana Goswami gives the reason also. Sanatana Goswami says that because Sut Goswami and Shaunak Muni, Shaunaka, they are jigyasus, they are not pure bhaktas. And if you will read the commentary on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvida bhajante mam janaha sukritino arjuna arto jigyasu artharthi jnani cha bharatarshana. There is Vishwanath, Sanatan Goswami actually, he has not written commentary on Bhagavad Gita, but in Bhagavatam, when he quotes this verse from Gita, Chaturvida Bhajanti Mam, Sanatan Goswami explains. And following Sanatan Goswami, Vishwanath has also explained, commenting on that verse of Bhagavad Gita, that here, all these four types of worshippers of Krishna, Artha, distressed, Artharthi, who are fruitive-minded, Jnani, who are knowledgeable, and Jigyasu, who are inquisitive. They are not to be considered within pure devotees. Anyabhilashita Shunyam. No. So, there, Sanatan Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti both, they give examples. Who are the examples of Artha or distressed? The examples of Artha is Gajendra. Gajendra is the example of distressed Artha. The example of Artharthi is Dhruva Maharaj. The example of Jnani is the four Kumaras. And the example exemplifying, the ideal exemplifying the Jigyasus, inquisitive, are the Sut and Shaunakas. And they are not pure devotee category. And that is why Sut and Shaunaka, because the hearers are of not pure category. Although Sut Goswami may be pure in his heart, he has no other desire except for to please Krishna. But the desire, what is the desire of the Jigyasu? The desire of the Jigyasu is to know more and more. So all the rishis headed by Shaunaka, what is their motive after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? Their motive after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is not that by our hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna will become pleased. Their motive after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is to have more and more knowledge. And that is why they are considered to be Jigyasus, inquisitive type of. So, now it is said that even though Sutta Goswami may be pure in his heart, but if the reciter is put into a company or association of that audience which is not pure in heart, completely unmotivated in heart, then from the mouth of the reciter, even though the same statements of Srimad Bhagavatam will come, but those statements will not have the same power. Because reciter, the mood of the reciter depends upon the type of audience that he is encircled by. And that is why it is said, Sajatiya Shaye Snigdhe Sadhu Sangam Svatovare Srimad Bhagavatarthanam Aswado Rasikayai Saha. That is why Sri Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita, says that one should hear Srimad Bhagavatam, understand Srimad Bhagavatam, study Srimad Bhagavatam, listen Srimad Bhagavatam, narrate Srimad Bhagavatam only in the company of pure devotees. Sut and Shaunaka and all the 88,000 are not the pure devotees. So they are of the most inferior category. Then comes Narada and Vyas. Narada and Vyas are to be considered devotees, but because of one statement of Mahadev, which has also been quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Aham vedmi shako vetti vyasa vetti na vetti va bhaktya bhagavatam grahyam na buddhya na chatikaya. Mahadeva says that I know Srimad Bhagavatam for sure. Shukdev Goswami knows Srimad Bhagavatam for sure. Vyasadeva knows? I have doubt. Maybe, maybe not. Bhaktya bhagavatam grahyam na buddhya na chatikaya. So, because of this, even though Narad is considered to be the Rishi of Bhagavatam, what do you mean by Rishi? Om Asya Srimad Bhagavatakhya Stotra Mantrasya Narado Rishi. In the Vinyoga mantra of Bhagavatam, it is described that Narad is the Rishi of Srimad Bhagavatam. What do you mean by Rishi? Rishi is the one who manifests, who makes the mantras or a particular type of Shastra which is eternally existing, manifest in front of the vision of conditioned souls. Into the vision of conditioned souls, a Rishi, what he does, he makes only the eternally existing mantras and Shastras manifest. So, who is the Rishi of Gayatri, Brahma Gayatri mantra? Vishwamitra. Brahma Gayatri mantra was certainly existing even before Vishwamitra took birth. But Vishwamitra is the one who made Brahma Gayatri come down to the earth planet and made it disclosed here on the earthly domain. So Narada is the one who makes the eternally existing Srimad Bhagavatam manifest on the earth planet by inspiring Veda Vyas. So Narada is a rishi. Narada is a rishi and Vyas is the incarnation of Narayana. But still they are not considered to be of the best category. And that is why, because Shankar Mahadeva, he says that I have doubt that Vyasadeva knows all the meanings of Srimad Bhagavatam or not. And then Suta Goswami, Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Why? Because Parikshit Maharaj, now another reason Vallabhacharya gives. Vallabhacharya says that Suta Goswami and Shaunaka Rishi, all the 88,000 rishis headed by Shaunaka, all the 88,000 rishis headed by Shaunaka Muni, they had leisure time and they heard Srimad Bhagavatam in the same way they heard other Puranas from the mouth of Suta Goswami. So they were thinking, as we have heard other Puranas and other Shastras from the mouth of Suta Goswami, because all the 18 Puranas, who is the reciter? Suta Goswami. And who are the hearers? Shaunaka, etc. All the 18 Puranas. So what Shaunaka Rishi and the other rishis were thinking is that as we have heard these other Puranas, because we have this leisure time, because it has been described Ekada Sutamasinam, that these rishis of Naimisharanya, 88,000 rishis, they were performing a yajna which was to continue up to 1,000 years. Right? This is in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. 4th verse of the first chapter of the first canto of Bhagavatam. Ekada Sutamasinam. That all these rishis that had sat there in Naimisharanya for the sake of performing holy sacrifice. And this sacrifice would continue for 1,000 years. And they would do sacrifice in the morning, and after completing their sacrifice, then they would dedicate the rest of their time, daytime, in hearing this Purana Katha from the mouth of Suta Goswami. So they thought, as we have spent 500 years or 600 years in listening to different Puranas from the mouth of Suta Goswami, we will also, now because we have time, we will also hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So they are not as just like a fish out of water. When a fish is put out of water, she cannot live without water. But here, Suta Goswami and the Shaunak Rishis, they think they are not in the same mood as the fish out of water. They are taking it very easily. But for Parikshit Maharaj, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is the only and the most important priority. And that is also one of the reasons, because Parikshit Maharaj has the most condensed type of enthusiasm and eagerness to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. They don't have such eagerness. They say, we have a lot of time. And as we have heard other Puranas, we will also hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And the motive of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is also not to please Krishna. It's just increase one's own knowledge, Shastra Jnana. So, Parikshit Maharaj here, he has heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukdev Goswami, and Shukdev Goswami is even more highly situated than Vyasadeva and Narada and others. That is why you will see that in the 19th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Shukdev Goswami comes, starting from Vyasadeva, his own father, and Narada, and all the other rishis, the sons of Brahma, and all the other demigods and devatas, they all just stand up in welcoming Shukdev Goswami, who is just a 16-year-old boy. So this is the significance of Shukdev Goswami. No one can come to his level. So Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, they are considered to be the best reciter and the best hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is why first canto by Vallabhacharya has been considered to be Adhikara Leela, or that Leela of Shri Krishna, that pastime of Shri Krishna, which decides the 3 different types of eligibilities for hearing and reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Second canto is known as Jnana Leela. Starting from 3rd canto comes Sarga, Visarga, etc. So, now what is the ultimate conclusion? The ultimate conclusion, because we have all these different acharyas saying different things. So the ultimate conclusion is that because Krishna is Srimad Bhagavatam, and because Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna, so as we described yesterday, Shri Krishna Swarupa, whatever functions, attributes and qualities that Shri Krishna's Swarupa has, the same functions Bhagavata has, because Bhagavat and Shri Krishna are of one Swarupa. Their identity, their internal nature is one and same. So, it has been described in Brahma Samhita how to harmonize the differences between all acharyas. It has been described in Brahma Samhita in the 5th chapter when Lord Brahma prays to Krishna. He says, Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti Ananda chinmaya sadujvala vigrahasya Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Yes, Anganiyasya. And what does that shloka mean? That shloka means that Shri Krishna's transcendental form is not of mundane nature. It is of completely transcendental nature. And because it is of completely transcendental, supramundane nature, that is why every sense, every limb, every organ of Shri Krishna's body can perform the task and functions of every other limb or organ of Shri Krishna's body. So, how to apply this Siddhanta with Srimad Bhagavatam and how to harmonize? Because Srimad Bhagavatam has been considered to be the personification, not just a representative, but to be the personification, to be the personified form of the 12 different bodily limbs of Shri Krishna's transcendental body. In Padma Puran, it has been stated, and now I will again state this shloka for the 3rd time in our session. We have already stated this shloka 2 times before, but 3rd time I will state because it has a specific purpose. It is said in the Padma Puran, Padau yadiyau prathamadvitiyau tritiya turyau kathitau yaduru nabhistatha panchama eva shashtau bhujantaram do yugalam tathanyau kantastu rajan navamo yadiyau mukhar bindam dashamah prafullam ekadasho yasya lalata pattam shiropi tudva dasha eva bhati tamadi devam karunanidhanam tamalavarnam suhitavataram apara samsara samudra setum bhajamahe bhagavata swarupam. This is what Lord Vyasadeva says in Padma Purana. Lord Vyasadeva says here that the 1st and the 2nd cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam are the right and the left lotus feet of Shri Krishna, of Vrindavan. Because Tamalavarnam, the word Tamalavarnam has been used. So Shri Krishna of Vrindavan is directly implied. Shri Krishna of Dwarka and Shri Krishna of Mathura are also of bluish complexion. But to describe their bluish complexion, nowhere in any Shastra, in any Purana, or even in any book or literature written by any other Acharya has the word Tamalavarna being described. Whenever Tamalavarna has been used, the word Tamalavarna has been used, it will only indicate the Krishna of Vrindavan. Tamala means who is as bluish as the Tamala tree. And for Radharani, Kadamba Varna, who is as fair complexioned as the Kadamba tree. That is why, because Tamala does not exist in Dwarka pastimes and also in Mathura pastimes. The Tamala trees only have significance in Vrindavan pastimes. And that is why, by the very use of the word Tamala, Vrindavan Krishna is indicated here. So you say that the right and the left lotus feet of Shri Krishna are to be considered 1st and the 2nd cantos. And likewise, 10th canto is to be considered the smiling face of Shri Krishna. Likewise, all the 12 cantos are not representing, they are themselves personified, the whole body of Shri Krishna, the different limbs of Shri Krishna. So, each canto is personification of each individual bodily limb of Shri Krishna's body. And Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. Each sense or each organ of Shri Krishna's body can perform the function of any other sense. So, each canto of Srimad Bhagavatam not only describes Sarga, but describes all of them at the same time. And that is why you will see that Ashraya Tattva, who is Krishna, has also been described in the 1st canto. Although not in that much detail, but he has also been described in 1st canto. second canto, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. In all the cantos, Ashra has been described. Sarga also has been described, sometimes in sometimes as synopsis and sometimes in elaboration. Sarga also has been described in all the 12 cantos. Likewise, all the 10 qualities, beginning from Sarga down to Ashraya, have been described in all the 12 cantos. But some qualities are described predominantly in one canto, and some qualities are described predominantly in another canto. Like Sarga is also described in 10th canto. Now there are statements how the primary creation started by Mahavishnu, but that Sarga is not stressed upon so much. So that is why the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is actually contains, because the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the body of Shri Krishna, and because the different cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam are different bodily limbs of Shri Krishna, and Tanda Purana is very clear. There is no vague idea, there is no ambiguous conception or abstract idea here. No, every different limb of Krishna is every different canto of Bhagavatam. And that is why, since every limb of Krishna has function of, has the special privilege of displaying the function of any other limb, in the same way every canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, although that particular canto might have a particular meaning, like Sarga, Visarga, etc., but every canto of Srimad Bhagavatam has the power, has the potency of describing other themes also. Not just the primary theme that canto is describing, but all the other themes also that any canto of Srimad Bhagavatam has the power to describe. Because it's a limb of Krishna. It is not a ordinary book. And this is how the explanation of all the acharyas have been harmonized. So I just want to wind up. Vallabhacharya, when he explains Nirodha, he does not, this shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam, Nirodhosyanushayanam, Atmanah Saha Shaktibihi, that Karandakshay Mahavishnu, he enters into his divine slumber of Yoga Nidra, and all the conditioned living entities become merged in his body, and that is known as Nirodha. But Vallabhacharya interprets this shloka in a different way. He says, Nirodhasyanushayanam Atmanah Shaktibihi. He says, Nirodhasyanushayanam prapanche kridanam harehe shaktibhir durvibhavyabhihi krishnasyetihi lakshanam. That is Shri Krishna, that in the original shlok, Atmanah Saha Shakti. Atmanah means the absolute truth with his potencies. So Vallabhacharya interprets it as Shaktibhir Durvibhavyabhi Prapanche Kridanam Harehe. Actually, Anushayanam has another meaning also. One meaning of Anushayanam is to enter into slumber or sleep. But another meaning of Anushayanam, according to dictionary, is to perform krida, to perform pastimes. Anushayanam is also known as to perform pastimes. It has a different meaning also. If we take Anushayanam from the shete dhatu means the verbal root shete comes in the meaning of sleeping. But Anushayanam durvibhavyabhihi shaktivihi. If this explanation is taken, then the meaning comes out, the meaning of Anushayanam is the same as Kridanam. And Kridanam means Krida or sportive pastimes. So Vallabhacharya says that Anushayanam or Anushayanam does not mean sleeping of Karanadakshay Mahavishnu in his Yoga Nidra in the marginal world. But rather here Anushayanam means the different sportive pastimes performed by Lord Hari or Shri Krishna during his incarnation via his different internal potencies. Atmanah Saha Shaktibihi, that word was used there. So here Vallabhacharya says that he interprets Atmanam Saha Shaktibihi as Shaktibhir Durvibhavyabhihi. What does Shakti, how are his Shaktis? Of what nature are his Shaktis or potencies? So he says that his potencies are of inconceivable nature. Krishna's potencies, internal potencies, Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha Natasya Karyam Karanam Cha Vidyate Natat Chabhyadhikascha Drishyate. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shriyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriya. So there's different internal potencies of Krishna like Jnana Balakriya and Sandhini Samvit Ahladini, etc. These are all actually inconceivable potencies, and via these potencies, through these potencies, Krishna, when he manifests his sportive pastimes and he takes the meaning of Anushayanam to mean sportive pastimes, then that is known as Nirodha. And what does Nirodha mean? Nirodha means to liberate his devotees from the clutches of material world. So why Krishna has to incarnate in this material world to liberate his devotees? Now someone can argue that why Krishna has at all, he has to advent on this material domain to liberate his devotees. So the word Nirodha here means to liberate one's own devotees by manifesting the transcendental pastimes, liberating the devotees by manifesting the pastimes. And this same definition is also given by Kunti Maharani in her prayers. In the very 8th chapter of the first canto of Bhagavatam, she also says that Shravana Smaranar Hani Karishan Niti Kechana. She says that many different people, they describe many different reasons for your incarnation. Even while describing why Krishna appears, there are many different reasons. There are many different conceptions. Not everyone agrees on the same point. Not everyone says that Krishna appears just because of one reason. All the devotees of Krishna, they have difference of opinion on even this issue. And Kunti Maharani states that some devotees, they consider that you appear on this earth to destroy the demons, miscreants. Some devotees consider that you appear on this earth to relieve the earth from its burden. Some devotees consider that you appear on this earth planet as incarnation to establish the Yuga Dharma, the prescribed duty for a particular era. But I consider Shravana Smaranarhani Karishyamiti Kecha. I consider that you have appeared just to liberate your devotees by making them eligible to hear, chant, remember and glorify your pastimes. Shravana Smaranarhani Karishyamiti Kecha. And the only way that your devotees can become eligible to hear, chant, glorify and remember your pastimes is when you become manifest physically during your Pragat Leela. Only then these devotees will be able to see you. So now the question arises that if this is Nirodha, Nirodha means to Nirodha does not actually mean liberation here. Nirodha means to bring all the conditioned souls of this material world and make them confined in devotional service. That is called Nirodha, confined in devotional service. To make them confined in the plane, on the plane of devotional service. Nirodha means just like, actually the word Nirodha is used, choking. The word Nirodha actually means to choke. Just like if someone puts a rope on the throat, around the throat, and then he pulls the rope from two sides. That is actually called Nirodha. Nirodha means to choke up. So, Krishna, what he does, he chokes by appearing during his Pragat Leela, during his manifest pastimes, by making his physical appearance and physical advent. He chokes up all the material desires of his devotees and other conditioned souls who are trying to attain him. He chokes up all the material desires of his devotees and he makes them fully absorbed in devotional service. That is the meaning of Nirodha taken by Vallabhacharya. So he considers, and now the one question arises, because the Jnanis, the followers of Shankaracharya, they say that Krishna, why he has to physically appear in order to liberate his devotees, or in order to make his devotees advance or progress on the path of devotion. Why Krishna has to physically appear? Cannot he do this staying as Paramatma, as super soul within the heart? Cannot he do the same function? So the answer is given here that no, for doing the Nirodha, or for making his own devotees progress on the path of devotion, and for making all these other desires, mundane desires, and these other different types of anarthas of his devotees completely destroyed, Shri Krishna has to appear. Why? Why he has to physically appear? Because it is said that if Shri Krishna will not appear even for once and manifest his pastimes, then even after Krishna disappears, no one in this material world will know what are the pastimes of Krishna, how Krishna looks like, what is his rupa, what is his transcendental countenance and form, what are his pastimes. If Krishna will not appear at any time on this mundane planet, then no one will be able to know, not even the rishis and munis will be able to know what are Krishna's pastimes, what are Krishna's different names, what are his pastimes, what are his qualities, how he performs his lila, who are his associates, parikaras, parshadas, and how he distributes prema bhakti and liberates his devotees. Now we see, one can say that, oh, why Krishna has to physically become manifest? Just by hearing the pastimes of Krishna. Even now, even Krishna is not present. Even now, when Krishna is not physically present, even now, devotees can become liberated and attain prema bhakti just by hearing and chanting his pastimes and worshipping him. But you are able to do that because Krishna has at least once appeared physically and has performed his manifest pastimes. And that is why now we have got the idea how Krishna looks like and what are his pastimes. If Krishna will not appear even for once, then the conditioned living beings of this world will not know, will not have any idea about Krishna's names, form, pastimes, etc. And that is why Krishna at least has to appear once for this reason. And now question arises, why cannot Super Soul do this, being situated as Paramatma? Because the Jnanis argue that Bhagavad Gita says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. And Bhagavatam also says, Acharya chaitya vapusha swagatim vyanakti. That by being situated as Super Soul, Krishna liberates his devotees. That is all right. Krishna does that. But initially he has to appear at least once. In order to make the concept of his name, form, qualities, pastimes established on this earthly domain, he has to at least appear once, initially. For the first and last time he has to at least appear once, so that this concept of his name, form, pastimes can be established when he shows and displays his, and when he exposes his manifest Leela. So, it has been described here that Ato nirodho bhaktanam prapanchasyeti nishchayah yavad bahihi sthito vahnihi prakato va vishennahi tavadantah sthito pyesha nadarudah nakshamaha evam sarvagato vishnuhu prakataschenna tadvishet tavan liyate sarvamiti Krishna samudyamaha. That if the Jnanis argue that Krishna can do everything just by being situated as Super Soul, but then why he has to perform his pastimes physically manifesting, by becoming physically manifested? So the answer is given by Acharyas that just like we can take an example of wood and fire. In the previous days, in the days of yore, in the old days, there used to be a custom or tradition of igniting fire when there were no matchboxes or lighters. At that time there used to be a custom throughout the world. It used to be a same custom, common custom of igniting fire using or rubbing or having a friction of two different wood sticks. People would rub these two wood sticks, and due to the friction, due to the occurrence of the friction, mutual friction, a fire would then be ignited. So, the original cause of fire is the wood. The ingredient cause of fire, upadan karan of fire, is wood. You cannot say that fire comes all of a sudden from some other place. No, fire is coming from the wood. Fire is certainly coming from the wood, but as long as the two wooden sticks are not rubbed against each other, they are not friction. As long as this does not happen, the fire does not come out, but the fire comes out from the wood itself. So even before frictioning, fire is present within the wood. Even before that they are rubbed against each other, the fire is present inside all these wooden sticks. Inside the wood and inside all these different wooden sticks, fire is still present. But the condition required to manifest fire is to rub them mutually against each other. That is the condition required to manifest the fire. Otherwise, fire is still existing within the wood, but rather in an unmanifest way. So, what happens? If fire is rubbed, if the wood is rubbed, wooden sticks are rubbed against each other, then the fire becomes manifest. And only the fire that becomes manifest, that fire that comes out from the wood, which was inside the wood, that fire which comes out of the wood, that fire which comes out of the wood, then that fire destroys the wood itself. But the fire which exists in an unmanifest form within the wood, before that they are rubbed against each other, that fire in an unmanifest, dormant, inactive stage does not have any power to destroy the wood. In the same way, Shri Krishna is present as Super Soul in the hearts of all living entities. But in that state, he does not have power to literally destroy the unearthers of the living entity. But only when that Shri Krishna becomes manifest during his Prakat Leela, during his manifest pastimes, and then he performs his transcendental activities with his eternal associates through different transcendental forms and names. And then when one remembers those names, forms, qualities and pastimes of Shri Krishna, only then the unearthers of living entity are destroyed. That is why the Jnanis claim that, why Shri Krishna has to become a... And then when the unearthers are destroyed, only then Paramatma is able to give guidance to the living entity. What is Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam mean there? Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam means that Paramatma inspires living entity to take shelter of some bona fide guru. But after taking shelter of bona fide guru, one has to perform sadhan bhakti. And sadhan bhakti means Shravan Kirtanam Vishnu, to hear, chant and glorify the pastimes of Krishna. And you cannot hear, chant and glorify the pastimes of Krishna if Krishna never becomes manifest on this earthly domain and never performs and shows his pastimes and his transcendental forms. No one will have idea of what Krishna's forms and pastimes will look like. And that is why it is actually the sadhan bhakti which destroys the unearthers, and sadhan bhakti depends upon Krishna's name, form, quality, pastimes, and Krishna's names, forms, qualities and pastimes, they also depend upon Krishna's becoming physically manifest. And that is why Krishna's becoming physically manifest is the ultimate cause for the Nirodha, and Nirodha here has been translated as the choking up of all the unwanted objects and desires in the heart of living entity, making those living entities or making those devotees fully concentrated on the path of devotion. And that is why Krishna has to at least appear once. Shravana smaranarhani karishyaniti kechana. Even Kunti Devi says the same thing there. So yes, there are many different meanings. Each canto can be ascribed many different meaning. Acharyas have difference of opinion. But if difference of opinion is not there, then Srimad Bhagavatam will not be considered unlimited. If only one type of interpretation is there, let's say only Sridhar Swami is there, no other Acharya is there. Or let's say any other Acharya, only one Acharya, only one type of interpretation. But this does not mean that we should allow those interpretations which are not really right. As in the case of Veer Raghavacharya and Vijay Dwaja, when they have interpreted Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, meaning Narayana Swayam Bhagavan, even though in one sense even Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has tried to harmonize that very lastly in the 3rd chapter of Adi Leela, he has tried to harmonize this. But still, it is not the ultimate Siddhanta here. The ultimate Siddhanta is that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, so such explanations are of inferior level actually. Yeah, they may be right, because in Krishna every possibility exists, because he is the original reservoir, he is the fountainhead, he is the summum bonum, so every possibility exists. But anyhow, those explanations should not be entertained so much. But still, our acharyas have even Srila Prabhupada, he has quoted Vijay Dwaja Tirth and Veer Raghavacharya, despite this very big difference, fundamental difference between the conception of these commentators, Vijayadhwaj and Veer Raghav, from our conception, despite this main fundamental difference of Swayam Bhagavan, still our even Prabhupada and even Hridayanand Goswami Maharaj, when he has written this, when he has continued the explanations on Srimad Bhagavatam, from where Prabhupada left out, even he has quoted Veer Raghav and Vijayadhwaj. So that means, and all the four Vaishnava Sampradayas and their Acharyas are considered bona fide. So that means that when these Acharyas, they are useful for us, we can make their use. But if they are contradicting the Siddhanta of our Sampradaya, then we have to follow the Siddhanta, the principle established by the Acharyas of our Sampradaya. That is the ultimate, that is our Nishtha actually, that is the ultimate Siddhanta here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. I wanted to start the Garbhastuti, so now, today, we will start Garbhastuti because now nothing has left or remained to explain. All the topics have been explained. We explained what is Kandartha, what is Granthartha, Prakaranartha. What is the general topic being described here in the 10th canto? Prakarana, Krishna Janma Prakarana. That is the Prakaranartha. Skandartha we have discussed, Granthartha we have discussed, Prakaranartha, the general topic being described is Krishna's advent. So Krishna Janma Prakarana continues up to 3 chapters. First chapter of 10th canto, second chapter of 10th canto, and third chapter of 10th canto. And you see there are 100 Prakaranas in Bhagavatam. Among those 100 Prakaranas, one Prakarana is this Krishna Janma Prakarana. And this Krishna Janma Prakarana, or the general topic of the advent of Krishna, has 3 chapters within 10th canto. Now we are taking the second chapter of 10th canto that falls within Krishna Janma Prakarana. So Prakaranartha is Krishna Janma, advent of Krishna. That is the general topic being described. Adhyayartha, what is the meaning of the Adhyaya, meaning of the chapter? Second chapter, the Adhyayartha is within the Krishna Janma Prakarana, within the general topic of the advent of Krishna, the special meaning of the chapter, Adhyayartha, the specific meaning of the chapter is Garbhastuti, or the prayers that the demigods have offered to Shri Krishna, who is present within the heart of Devaki Mother Devaki. That is the Adhyayartha. And so these are the 3 types of meanings. Prakaranartha, Adhyayartha, Skandhartha and Granthartha, 4 types of meanings we have now discussed. And starting from tomorrow, we will discuss the Shlokartha, the meaning of the shlokas of Garbhastuti, which fall within the Adhyaya or chapter of Garbhastuti.
So we have discussed the preliminary 4 types of meanings.
Now we will discuss the rest 3
types of meanings.
Total 7. Starting from tomorrow, we will start from the 26th verse of the second chapter of 10th canto, and we will try to relish the different meanings of this shlokartha, and then if Krishna will allow, we will try to complete, and if not, then we will try to elaborate on just this one shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, because Acharyas have commented in quite a great bit of detail on this 26th shloka, Satyavratam Satyaparam Satyam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. We can sing one song? Yes. So, yes. I think you should sing one song now. No. As we had discussed today in the morning. Yes.
Oh, this is break now.
No, it's not break. Instead of having bhajana in the between, we have it in the end, and then we will have some little 2 question answers only today. And those questions, I will request only those questions which are relevant and which are pertaining to the present topic being discussed, which are relevant, useful for the audience, which are first condition. Second condition, which are connected to the current topic being described, and only 2 or 3 questions at most. And per person, only 1 question. But first, let us have bhajan.
It's getting late though. Why not just have questions? Bhajan was for interval. 5 minutes, okay, 5 minutes.
Yeah, only for 5 minutes. You can sing
Hare Krishna.
5 or 10 minutes even. You can just continue.
Bhajan.
You please take the microphone.
Live broadcast.
বলিতে হবে পুলাকা শরী
nice kirtan. So I first congratulate Vishwambhar Prabhu for his nice kirtan.
Yes, very good.
So, any questions now?
Yes.
Yes.
I want to clarify maybe I missed it yesterday. That Sripad Ramanujacharya, he took the base on Vishnu Puran in order to establish Narayan is the Swayam, Bhagavan.
Yeah, and also he uses Vishnu Sahasranam for that.
Okay. But Madhacharya, what base he has to ascertain that Narayan is?
Because you see, whenever, as we discussed on the very first day of our session, whenever these acharyas will feel, these other acharyas, especially Madhva and Ramanuj, when they will feel that Smriti is rather contradicting what Shruti is saying. Actually there is no contradiction, but they think it like this. That whenever Smriti is contradicting, whenever Smriti is contradicting the Shruti, then they think that Shruti is better. Shruti Smriti Virodhacha Smriti Reva Gariyasi. This is what Ramanujacharya states in his Shri Bhashya on Vedanta. He states Shruti Smriti Virodhacha Smriti Reva Gariyasi. He does not recognize the omnipotence of Srimad Bhagavatam. He considers Srimad Bhagavatam to be like other Puranas, and he considers Vishnu Puran to be the best among all the 18, even better than Srimad Bhagavatam. And Madhvacharya and Ramanuj, they both think that whenever Smriti says something different from what Shruti says, then Shruti has to be taken more consideration. It has to be considered more important. So they quote from Mahanarayana Upanishad. From Mahanarayana Upanishad, they quote that Eko Narayana na Brahma na cha Shankara. Yes, they both use that. That Mahanarayana Upanishad states that there is only one Narayana. He is the only one who exists prior to this creation. He is the one who exists while this creation is in existence. And he also exists after that this creation has again become dissoluted. And using these different quotes, they think, and they also, the primary conception is, they think that Aishwarya Bhagavattasar, that the opulence, mood of majesty, awe and reverence, is actually the essence of Godhood. Whereas the acharyas of our, especially Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, especially Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti, they have not considered Aishwarya or opulence to be the essence of Godhood. They have considered sweetness, Madhurya, to be the essence of Godhood. Madhurya Bhagavattasar. This shloka also comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Madhurya Bhagavattasar. This is the whole basic fundamental difference. They think, Ramanujis and Madhvaites, they think that God, that form of Narayan or that form of God is more superior, which has more display of Aishwarya, opulence. And they think that that form of Godhood, which relatively has lesser display of opulence, that is inferior. And because Krishna of Vrindavan has 100% display of Madhurya. And that is why Krishna of Vrindavan, according to them, is the most inferior form of Godhood. Because their criteria for segregation is Aishwarya. They think Aishwarya is what decides which form of God is the highest. And our criteria is different. We think that Madhurya is that which decides. Why? Because when Aishwarya and Madhurya both are present in Krishna Leela or in Vraj Leela, in the Vrindavan pastimes, Madhurya and Aishwarya both are present. But Madhurya subdues Aishwarya, makes Aishwarya inactive, dormant and ineffective. And that is why, because Madhurya, when Madhurya and Aishwarya are kept together side by side, Madhurya subdues Aishwarya. But Aishwarya is not able to subdue Madhurya. And that is why our acharyas have considered Madhurya and that form of Narayana or that form of Godhead which displays full Madhurya to be the best form. And that is why we consider Krishna to be Swayam Bhagavan. And also because of those four qualities. And again those four qualities are Madhurya. Chaturdha Madhuris Tasya Vraja Eva Virajate. Rupa Goswami says in Ujjwal Nilmani, Chaturdha Madhuri Stasya Vraja Eva Virajate. That there are 4 types of sweetnesses that Krishna possesses, and only Krishna Vrindavan possesses. Yeah, Rupa Madhurya may be there in Dwarka, but the Venu Madhurya is not there. So Krishna of Vrindavan possesses all the 4 opulences, or all the 4 sweetnesses, Madhurya, and these 4 types of sweetnesses are not found within Narayana or any other form of Krishna, except for Vrindavan Vihari.
4.
This is what Rupa Goswami makes very clear in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in Ujjwal Nilmani, and in different our literatures of our sampradaya. And this is the basis of deciding which form of Godhood is original, primeval, better.
So you said
You see, Narayan only has Aishwarya, no Madhurya. And because Narayan has no Madhurya, only Aishwarya, that is why Aishwarya is there. But Krishna has both Madhurya and Aishwarya in the same amount. 100% Aishwarya, 100% Madhurya. Krishna Vrindavan has. And then that 100% Madhurya that Krishna Vrindavan has is able to subdue and is able to paralyze the 100% Aishwarya that Krishna Vrindavan has. Narayan does not have Madhurya, he only has Aishwarya. 0% Madhurya, 100% Aishwarya in Narayan. And that is why Aishwarya seems to be the one ruling and controlling Vaikuntha. But here Aishwarya Madhurya both are present in the same amount, and then Madhurya is still able to charm Aishwarya and make it completely paralyzed. That is what establishes the supremacy of Madhurya. So, Ayodhya, Ramachandra, 25% Madhurya, 75% Aishwarya. Dwarka, 50% Aishwarya, 50% Madhurya. Mathura, 75% Madhurya, 25% Aishwarya. Vrindavan, 100% Madhurya, 100% Aishwarya, and still Madhurya is able to charm the Aishwarya. How Aishwarya? Aishwarya is present. Aishwarya is present in Vrindavan. When Krishna swallows up that fire, one Agni, when Krishna sucks the life air out of Putana, and all these activities, are they not displays of Aishwarya? Yes, but still the Aishwarya Gyan does not arise. So Vishwanath says that in the Raghavatma Chandrika, that Aishwarya and Aishwarya Gyan are 2 different things. Aishwarya is there in Vaikuntha, Aishwarya Gyan is also there in Vaikuntha. But in Vrindavan, 100% Aishwarya there is there, but Aishwarya Gyan is not there. And why Aishwarya Gyan is not there? Is because Aishwarya is there, but Aishwarya does not appear in the same way that it appears in Vaikuntha. And even if it would appear in the same way as it appears in Vaikuntha, still it will not be able to change the minds of Rajvasis. Because Ragatmika Bhakti is of such a type that it does not become hampered by any of these other inferior things like Aishwarya, etc. So that's the basic concept is different. Yes.
In Vallabhacharya Sampradaya,
Yes.
Vallabhacharya was initiated by Gadadhar Pandit.
Yes, yes.
But why they are just worshipping Lady Krishna? Why?
Because in the Vallabhacharya Sampradaya is mainly for the Grihasthas, and that is why you will see that in Vallabha Sampradaya, those who are giving initiation, those who are the Pithadishwaras, Acharyas, they are all Grihasthas, and they are all family descendants of Vallabhacharya, seminal line. And he established that system. And he thought that that is why you will see that they have Vatsalya Upasana, because he thought that his disciples are not eligible to enter into Madhurya, or not Madhurya, sorry, this Madhur Ras. Madhur Ras is different from Madhurya. Madhurya is different from Madhur Ras. So Madhur Ras means Shringar, the conjugal. So conjugal, he thought his disciples were not eligible for that. But he, Vallabhacharya, and his son, Vithalnath Goswami, who is the next Acharya, they had actually entered into the Parkiya Bhav and into the Manjari Bhav also. Because after taking initiation from Gadadhar Pandit Goswami, they had imbibed that mood of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And there are evidences to show that. Yeah, Smera, Shama Sundara, Shikhanda Shekhara, Smera Hasa Murli Manohara, Radhika Rasikatvam Kripanidhi Swapriya Charana Kinkirim Kuru. This is what the son of Vallabhacharya prays, Vithalnath Goswami. He says he is the contemporary of Jeev Goswami, Vithalnath is. So he prays that, oh Krishna, make me the maid servant of your beloved Srimati Radhika. Is this not Manjari Bhav? But this is, they have reserved it only for themselves. They have not given this to their followers. Because, yeah.
But I was surprised because my sister is a strict follower of Acharya,
Yeah,
strictly.
Yeah.
But when she came here, she was singing Gopi Geet, and I was surprised. First time hearing Gopi Geet from her. I said, why sing Gopi? She worships the living Krishna.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's normal,
Yeah?
natural.
Yeah. No, even Vallabhacharya has commented upon the 5 chapters of Ras Panchadhyaya.
Mm.
All the acharyas have commented. Yeah.
In your presentation, it was a very incredible presentation tonight. Thank you so much.
Okay.
You said there were different type of hearers and speakers.
Yeah.
So they're all in the Bhagavatams.
Yes.
So when we hear from these different Bhagavatams, since they're different quality of hearer and speaker, do we get full benefit? I mean, of course,
Yes,
like you
yes,
said, we're not
yes,
saying
yes, yes.
everyone.
Because when we hear Bhagavatam, then it's a different thing. You cannot say that because Sutta and Shaunaka are of the lowest category of hearers and reciters,
That
part of Bhagavatam which is spoken by Sutta Goswami does not have that much influence. No. Because as we explained yesterday, that what Gautama Muni told Amrish Maharaj, Ambarisha Shuka in Padma Puran, in Satya Yuga, Ambarisha Shuka Proktam Nityam Bhagavatam Shrenu. And we described, and actually Jiva Goswami has described this predominantly in his Tattva Sandarbha, that Srimad Bhagavatam is eternally existing. It only becomes enacted physically at a particular time. So the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, even those statements of Srimad Bhagavatam which are coming as spoken by Sutta Goswami, even before Sutta Goswami spoke those statements are there in Bhagavatam. That is why it does not make any difference if Sutta Goswami speaks them. It does not make any change in the Swarup of Bhagavatam, in the internal identity of Bhagavatam. No mutation, no vikara, absolute no change is created. Because Sutta Goswami spoke the same statement of Bhagavatam much later. Bhagavatam is there, the whole Bhagavatam is there. Even Sutta Uvacha is there, even before Sutta Goswami speaks that. Even before Sutta Goswami speaks a particular shloka, Sutta Uvacha is there in Bhagavatam. So that is why, if Sutta Goswami speaks that, and if Sutta Goswami is the lowest type of reciter, then it will not make any difference because Bhagavat is made before actually Sutta Goswami has spoken that shloka. You see, that is why no change is created in Bhagavatam. If Sutta Goswami would have spoken that shloka, and if after that he speaks that shloka would have entered into Bhagavatam, then yes, Bhagavatam would have that segregation, that some parts of Bhagavatam are better, some are inferior, depending on the difference of hearer and reciter. But that change is not there because Bhagavatam is eternal, existing from time without beginning, in the same way. Yeah.
I've noticed that whenever Lord Brahma or the demigods go to Sweta Dweep, it's only Narayan or Lord Krishna.
Yeah, but you see, Garga Samhita mentions a different story. Garga Samhita mentions that the Bhagavatam mentions that they have gone to Kshir Sagar, milk ocean, and they are not even able to see Kshiravakshai Vishnu. Brahma is not even able to see. But then Garga Samhita describes, Gargacharya describes that Brahma takes all the demigods and then goes to Karanadakshayi Mahavishnu, and Karanadakshayi Mahavishnu takes them to Golok Vrindavan. But this all depends different kalpas, different versions of the same story. Because in different kalpas, Krishna Leela is being displayed in a slightly different way, not exactly in the same way. That is why we have, according to Kalpa Bheda, we have difference in versions. Yes. So that was your question, right?
Yeah, because I mean it's only Narayan or Vishnu would appear. I mean there's never was Sri Krishna. So I mean I really want to know why.
Yeah. So actually, one shloka comes in the second chapter. This same second chapter that we are going to discuss, but we will not discuss that shloka because that shloka comes before Garbhastuti. So that shloka is Aviveshamsha Bhagena. And also in the first chapter of the 10th canto, similar type of shloka comes which says Ansha Bhagena, Anshanshena. So Anshanshena means that by the expansion of Kshiradakshai Vishnu, Krishna has appeared. But Now this is supporting more the Ramanujan Madhva interpretation. But this is not right. Actually, Kshirodakshai Vishnu's Ansha is the Yugavatar for Dwapar. Kshirodakshai Vishnu's Ansha is Yugavatar for Dwapar. So when in the 10th canto, 1st and 2nd chapters, it is said that by the expansion of Kshirodakshai Vishnu, Krishna appears. That means actually, because the Yugavataras are expansions of Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So the Yugavatar for Dwapar Yuga, when Krishna is to appear, when Krishna who is Swayam Bhagavan, when he is to appear, then Yugavatar merges within Swayam Bhagavan. Same thing with Kali Yuga. Yugavatar of Kali Yuga, who is also expansion of Kshirodakshai, he also merges with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body within him. But not in every Dwapar and Kali Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna appear. In 1000 Kalis and 1000 Dwapar, only in one Dwapar and one Kali, Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appear. In the other rest Kali Yugas and Dwapar Yugas, remaining Kali Yugas and Dwapar Yugas, only the Yugavataras appear. So the Yugavatar of Dwapar, who is the expansion of Kshirodakshai Vishnu, it's not that only Krishna appears. Yugavatar also appears, because he has also become merged within Krishna's body. So, there in the 10th canto, 1st and 2nd chapter, when it says that expansion of Kshirodakshai Vishnu has appeared, it means the Yugavatar, who is actually the expansion of Kshirodakshai Vishnu, he has also appeared at the same time when Krishna Swayam Bhagavan has appeared, and that Yugavatar has appeared by being merged within Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. That is why it is said indirectly that Krishna is the expansion of Kshirodakshai Vishnu, but really he is not the expansion of Kshirodakshai Vishnu. Rather, Kshirodakshai Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna, because Brahma Vaivarta Puran, Garg Samhita and Bhagavatam and all the different literatures, they give very graphic demonstration of how Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. And he is the Anshi of all the other Anshas, he is the Avatari of all the other Avataras, he is the original, primeval. There can be no compromise with this. There can be no compromise with this. Yes.
I thought you said that Sweta Dweep is where Chaitanya is.
Yeah, actually, you see, in the material universe, milk ocean, Kshira Sagar, is also known as Shweta Dvipa. But this Shweta Dvipa or milk ocean, Kshira Sagar, is near to Indra's Amravati. Indra's Amravati. But that Shweta Dvipa that we were talking about is not within this material universe. That is even higher than beyond Vaikuntha. And that Shweta Dvipa is same thing as Navadvipa. Yeah. So Shweta Dvipa are even Goloka. There is one planet known as Goloka next to Indra's heaven. But that Goloka is different from that Golok Vrindavan. Okay.
This is not related to.
Okay, anyways, since you are the host, you have the privilege. Okay.
I know Janmashtami is on Sunday,
Yeah.
and you will be here.
Yeah.
And of course, it's also a fasting day.
Yeah.
But you think about it, and if you all agree, then we can have on Sunday also. We can have, it's a Sunday, and it's.
What about Saturday night?
But then
Because, no, I know. I have a program of 13, 14 boys, but I want to ask you that. I would like to bring it, but not so much stuff to sit down.